faulty speaker systems. Welcome back to Miku's Crackhouse. This is episode 102. I'm your host as always, Sam Kingma. That voice you just heard, best friend and co-host, Myles J. Myles, I've had a long day, but I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about you, dude. What's good, man?
Hey, not much. We are back here in Viva la Mexico. I'm just with my cartel pals. We're going off to kill Hank Schrader. Things are good, man. Things are good.
All right, what season of Breaking Bad are you on, man?
Just started season 4. Just did episode 1 of season 4.
You've seen over half the show?
Yeah,
basically.
I would say so. I don't want to be a contrarian, but I do think...
you're not going to say it's good? You're going to say it's mid? You're going to say Breaking Bad mid?
I like it. I came up with this last week, and I didn't say it last week, but like Breaking Bad has that Mega Man X thing going on, where it's
I'm going to fucking shoot you, dude.
No, where if someone's like, oh, I don't like Mega Man X, like I think Mega Man X is mid, I'm just like, what's wrong with it?
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Where like, it's just like, to me, like, there's nothing like so heinously wrong with Breaking Bad that like, I feel like people could have a strong opinion of it. But I will say, I think season 3 is like, that one was like a little all over the place for me. Like, it felt like both a lot happened and not a lot happened. I think, so I think it's like a weird, like, they're kind of moving it. I mean, here's the thing. It's 5 seasons. If you think of it as an act structure kind of thing, like, it does have a true act 3 climax, like, but that's definitely a weird, like, you can almost feel the transition of them, like, kind of setting up the rest of the series, because the series was probably so different than they envisioned for seasons 1 and 2. Like, at the end of season 2, I almost said Nancy, because she feels like a Nancy.
Spoilers for Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Skylar figures out what's going on with Walt, and, like, you think that's kind of going to be the whole show. Like, when you start it, and almost when you... Here's the thing. If I was Vince Gilligan, I would be very rich. But if I was Vince Gilligan, I would, when I pitch this show, and I go in with this pitch packet, like, when I was learning how to write television, like, in fucking school, right? That was kind of something we always discussed, was like, in the pitch packet, you kind of always want to have things where the producers and the executives, showrunners, well, not showrunners, you would be the showrunner, ideally, but, like, yeah, anyone who's involved with picking the script and saying, oh, this is the next one, we're making this. You want them to have a clear picture of what's going to happen in the show. So the idea of, like, oh, he's making drugs, brother-in-law's in the DEA. Oh, he's getting into all this kind of crazy money stuff. His wife's an accountant. She looks for that sort of thing. Things like that. Like, oh, he's with his former student, he's a chemistry teacher. Like, you want things that like that the audience can see. Okay, he's with his former student, former chemistry teacher,
Well, like, I actually want to touch on this, because you mentioned sort of like if I was pitching the show. What I find so funny about Breaking Bad is that the core pitch conceit of the first episode and of the show initially is just totally not what the show is at all past, like, season 1.
It's a perfect pilot. That's the thing. That is a perfect pilot. And we actually studied the pilot in school, because it does... So the original script... In the original script for the pilot, you remember the first shot of Breaking Bad?
No.
It's a pair of pants.
By the way, Myles, Myles, when I first watched Breaking Bad with my dad, shout out, we watched everything but the first episode because we didn't DVR it. So it wasn't until years and years later. I have seen the episode now, for the record. I watched it a couple years ago when I was trying to do a rewatch. I got about midway through season 3 and life got in the way, but it was a fucking awesome rewatch.
Yeah.
It was so shame too, because in my opinion, seasons 4 and 5 are the probably the peak of the show.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I've heard, and like that's why I'm kind of fine with season 3 being like, because as I was saying, like, season 3 does feel like, all right, the show's gotten to this point, we've set things up, we kind of have to set up our end game now. So, and that's literally what Act 3 does in these things, is the stakes rise to the point where there's no coming back from any of this. Everything's just changed forever, right? So there's elements of Act 3, like, okay, well, the cartel, they were setting up this cartel stuff with season 2, and they didn't resolve it, but like they kind of did it in such a way where that's a little bit of a misdirection, and the real threat to Walt and Jesse is more domestic, we'll say, right?
Yeah.
Things like that. So, like, you can kind of see, like, them having to set things up. And so, like, my eyeballs are able to, like, see stuff like that just because I'm sort of trained for it. So I don't know if season 3 is like a beloved season or anything like that. I don't know if this is like blasphemous for me to say, but I was definitely kind of feeling the wheels like turning where I could see what the writers were doing for the next seasons and for the next couple plot lines.
Yeah, I mean,
and that kind of like stuff, the setup stuff, is not very. I don't know. I don't really like it that much.
I'm with you. Better Call Saul season 4 has similar energy where when I watched it, I enjoyed it for what it was. But I imagine if you were watching it week to week or looking at it in the grand scheme of the narrative, it is a lot of like setup and a little bit of like wheels turning. And it's probably the weakest season.
You have to do. I totally get it. You have to do it. But like there is a part of me that's like, is this like the fan favorite season? And am I just like shitting on the fan favorite season?
Though I will say it does have... Season 3 does have my favorite episode in the series, which is Season 3, Episode 6, Sunset. That's where they are trapped in the RV.
No, that's Season 2. No, when they're in the RV and Hank's at the...
When they're in the RV and Hank's at the door and then they crush it at the junkyard and they get rid of the RV.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite episode in the whole series.
You know why it's called that too, right?
Because they sunsetted the RV.
Yeah, they sunset the car. That's what it's called. You sunset the car.
Yeah, and because I was like, damn, it's such a... The RV is so iconic from the early seasons of Breaking Bad.
I genuinely was surprised. Yeah. That's kind of the weird thing about Season 3. Like, Season 3 does have big, like, everything you love is gone energy. This is such a stupid comparison. Like, genuinely the stupidest comparison. But, like, all the people who are, like, sad about like Breath of the Wild not having dungeons and things like that, like people who are like, oh, Zelda's just different forever now, and all the like if you were one of those people who liked Skyward Sword, like and thought that the series didn't need to change, and you played Breath of the Wild and you're like, oh, everything I love is different now, and like I just have to deal with it, or I don't, and I'm now no longer a fan. Like, which that didn't happen to me with Breaking Bad, but like, did you like the RV? Did you like him keeping secrets from his wife?
Yeah, did you like the whole setup of him being or being a chemistry teacher who turned into like,
and he's still working at high school. Yeah, like whatever you liked from seasons 1 and 2, it's not there anymore. And like, I don't have a problem with it per se, but it is a funny thing of like, they kind of wrote this show in such a way that I think they wrote it to be pitched. Oh, he's a high school teacher. There's some drama there. Oh, his brother-in-law's in the DEA. Wife's wife's a bit of a snoop. She watches for taxes and shit like that. Like, he's with his former student, but he's a junkie. He's not responsible. Like, you can kind of see all the like plots that are going to happen from that, which is what a good pitch packet is supposed to do, right? Like, I could see how this show was like, just like, people were probably salivating over it, like when it was getting kicked around, and because obviously people, they got to buy the option, they send it around, studios and networks are interested, networks in particular, and like, so you see all those elements and you're like, oh yeah, this is totally like a show, like this is like a show that I could envision being written out in front of me. And then season 3 is just like, oh no, everything that we set up, nah, we're in the big leagues now. Whatever, everything you thought, we're done with that. Let's get into like this like a biblical arc about like the downfall of these characters.
Oh yeah, dude. And it's pretty biblical, dude. It's pretty biblical. It's so good. Also, I'd be remiss to ask you, dude, what do you think of Saul?
Oh, I love Saul, but it is interesting because it's like, how does this guy have his own show? Like, Sam, I'm gonna say something that is probably I'm gonna say something that's gonna piss you off. Okay,
I mean, it's pretty. Dude, everyone was skeptical as fuck about Call Saul when it first came out. So
because here's what I'm thinking, and since it's a proven success, I like know this statement is not going to be like you remember my statements about Elden Ring, which is just like showing my ass, like. I'm still kind of like not the biggest fan of that game, but like my earliest like that first opinion of that game when I played like 10 hours and I was like, where's the systems? It's like, that's clown shit. That is clown shit for me. So this is not gonna be clown shit for me to say, but like Better Call Saul has Planet Sheen energy.
Oh,
as a
dude,
concept.
totally. Oh, dude, I 100% agree with that, with what you're saying, because from your perspective of just hearing that there's a show called Better Call Saul
about this wacky, like, comic relief character.
Yeah, because I will say, I do want to say that when I watched Breaking Bad for the first time, which was I began watching it right after the season 5, the series finale came out. Because that's how I DVR'd all the episodes, was because AMC did like a marathon run of the show.
Right.
And I remember being in my basement with my dad watching that season 2 episode, which by the way is super late in season 2, which I definitely forgot on my rewatch.
Like
I thought that was
7 or 8. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like pretty deep in the list, where I thought it was like 2 or 3. But no, dude, I remember watching the episode, and at the time, before we even knew Saul was getting his own show or whatever, and he was just a character, I remember that being like a fucking incredible piece of TV. Just like that whole episode where he's introduced and they got to get Badger off, and that whole opening scene.
We got to talk about something right after this. So this is the end of Breaking Bad talk after this.
Oh no, I just wanted to say that like I found that the episode titled Better Call Saul is another like top 5, top 10 episode in the series for me. It's just what a fucking killer character. What a killer character. And it's even better with all the context. That's the beauty of Better Call Saul, dude, which is why I'm excited for you to watch it, because it actually makes it. I've never seen a prequel elevate its original source material like Better Call Saul does. It takes a show that was already fucking like best in class and just makes it even better by providing some great emotional context. It's so good, dude. It's so good and totally not what you think that show would be. Slippin' Jimmy though, that's got fucking that, which by the way is a spin-off of Better Call Saul. It's like a cartoon that they made for super cheap, and it looks fucking heinous and it's horrible. That's Planet Sheen. That's Planet Sheen.
I was about to say that's like the Bored Ape cartoon they tried to do.
Yeah. Although this is worse.
Oh,
this is worse
because it's a beloved thing. It's a beloved thing. It's worse in that same way that like if someone did like a Digimon, like a new Digimon thing that was like heinous. Okay, there is the guy who wrote Serial Experiments Lain and Digimon Tamers, I believe, whichever is the one everyone likes.
The fucked up Tamers is the fucked up one, right?
Yeah,
that's the one where everyone's like, "Oh, it's super dark."
Yeah, it's super dark, which I guess means I have to watch it. But like he wrote like a stage play or something, a Digimon stage play where they fight political correctness mon.
I was about to bring this up. I was like, wait a minute, I know what this is actually.
Yeah, it's a very similar thing of like what are you doing to my son? You know? That's like when a new like Final Fantasy VII spin-off happens and it's like the worst. You know what I mean? Like one of those feelings. But speaking of the episode where they got to get Badger out of prison, the new JoJo Lands, straight up just does that. There's just an entire scene, which is the cold open of that episode, of like someone being like, "Hey, I want to buy drugs," and them being like, "You a cop?" And they are like, "No, how do I prove I'm not a cop?" And then they go, "Well, if you ask a cop honestly, they got to tell you, are you a cop?" Like they just straight up do the scene again, but with stance. And so you would love JoJo Land so far. We're only 2 chapters in, but you would love this shit.
Oh, dude. I'm so right now for manga, I'm reading Sakamoto Days, which is about the retired hitman become convenience store owner, which is fucking insanely good. On probably of all the not including Chainsaw Man, which is no longer in the official magazine, probably the best like new age era shonen manga Sakamoto Days. Highly recommend it.
I'll check it out.
The art is super easy to read. It's like easy to read fights, which has kind of become a bit of a
It's become a genuine problem for me with manga.
Like let me give you an example. So Jujutsu Kaisen, I read the first 100. I caught up. I caught up when it was at around the 170s. Read 2 or 3 chapters and fell off. It fell off reading it week to week. So I got to go back and reread the fucking whole thing again. But one of the worst aspects of JJK was the fact that the fights are incomprehensible sometimes. They're just incomprehensible because the way the curse magic works, anything can happen and your power can be fucking anything. So when stuff happens, it's just like, what's going on? What is going on? I cannot follow this. In Sakamoto Days, no, it's very Dragon Ball like Z-esque in that way. Just so easy and fun, clean battle reading. Good fucking shit, man. And the characters are great. It's got a great sense of humor. It's just like, we got one. We got a good one that's good, and there's no big issues with it. There's no big issues. There's no like cope you gotta suffer through when you read it.
But
after that, it's gonna be JoJo. It's gonna be a JoJo manga.
Oh yeah, no,
JoJo for the first time.
JoJolian's gonna be huge. You've not read Steel Ball Run, right?
I have not read. I have not seen the. I only know the first third. I only know until Jolene gets sent to the maximum.
Okay, yeah. So you have
the first third,
part 6 to catch up on as well.
Part 6-1 for the anime viewers, and then Netflix delayed the shit out of it, and then I'm like, I forgot what happened. I'm not watching this shit.
You don't need to remember what happened. Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. They were in fucking prison.
Yeah, well, that's what you want. First of all, that's what you want, Sam. But yeah, Steel Ball Run is a masterpiece. Everyone will tell you this. I can't wait for you to think it's mid, which I don't think you will. I might think it's mid because I'm a moron because I'm stupid. Now that we're on camera and it's more difficult to censor things, I'm watching out. Because I'm dumb and I play like masterpieces like Elden Ring and go, what is this shit?
Mid.
I don't think Elden Ring is mid. To be fair. I think it's just not my kind of open world game. But so impressive. Just like as an open world effort, like amazing how much different stuff is in that game. So there's my redemption round. I've been waiting months to say that shit because I was so wrong the first time, at the very least, with like my particular critiques of that game. That was some of that shit I was saying was bullshit. Forgive me for that. Forgive me for Earthbound getting knocked out of the bracket, and we're good to go. We're all caught up. Forgive me for those two things, and we're all caught up. But dude, JoJo Lands is straight up not a battle manga. It is a heist manga, where it's just a heist story with stands, and straight up they reference Reservoir Dogs in chapter 2.
You can't. Oh, you got me. You fucking got me, Myles.
I knew.
What was the? You got to tell me what the reference is. What did they do?
They say we're gonna refer to each other by colors, and one of them goes,
"Yeah, dude. Who's Mr. Black?" And then they're like, "You can't be Mr. Black, bro."
They don't do that. Well, one of them says you're pink, and then someone calls them Pink Chan, and they're like, "All right, no more colors." But all the stands, awesome. And I'm not going to spoil the stands, but all the stands are like, this doesn't work in a battle. You can't win with this. They're all heist stands, which to me means like there's not going to be any fights in part 9. It's all going to be heist shit and espionage
That's cool,
shit.
Though.
And it's like, it's so nice to see him do something so different. Like, I have no problem with JoJo's like fights, but like, I'm not gonna front with you, man. JoJo's been like fucking repetitive since part 3 to part 6. Like part 7 was like that was a shot in the arm that this whole fucking franchise needed, and even that was like still pretty like it had this advantage of like being like all over the place, like with like these.
I gotta be honest with you. I gotta push back a little bit. I won't speak to part 6 since I haven't seen the whole thing, but I feel the part 3 to part 4 to part 5.
They're different enough. They're different enough.
I don't really think it's super I don't think the fights get super repetitive. I think they can get a little repetitive in part 3.
I think that I think the problem is just that like the kind of like the way that fights kind of break down and like the structure of everything, which is new scenario, stand is doing something weird and they don't know what it is. Stand is revealed. Characters talk about what the stand does. Out of place and out of context, like non-diegetic explanation of some phenomenon that kind of contextualizes the stand in some way. There's a stand in part 6 called like Sky High that literally has to stop to explain what rods are as like a supernatural phenomenon, like this sort of like paranoid tinfoil hat supernatural phenomenon of like creatures that are too fast to see. Like they just have to stop the story to explain this to you. Like,
the stands do get a little fucking complicated.
Yeah, and then they fight for a while. The protagonist makes exactly one good move, and the fight ends. Yeah. And like for me, like that by like part 6, I was like, I'm good with this shit. Like, so part 7 was like a real like kick in the ass because you have someone who's not even using a stand. You have someone who uses a stand, but like they're a fucking cripple. You have like characters who like you have characters who are non-stand users dealing with stand user assassins. You have like villains fighting other villains for things. So you'll just have like a chapter of like 2 bad guys fighting it out for supremacy. Like just things that you need to keep it fresh. JoJolian's like totally different. But part 9, it's so nice to see him like almost do something that's like, how are they gonna fight? There's no fights. No one's gonna fight in this one. It's all gonna be heist shit. It's all gonna be like Reservoir Dogs the manga, and it's gonna be amazing.
That's sick.
Yeah, so like I have no problem. Here's the thing: I still love JoJo, huge JoJo fan, and I still like part 4. I still like part 3. I still like part 6. I like part 5. Like I like them all. But like I don't know if I could do 10 parts of like the same thing, like as part 3, like that same format again and again and again. Part 4 is very refreshing in that way, where like sometimes you'll have like a Cinderella stand, you know, things like that. But like part 5 and 6, like back to back, that's a little too like, okay, all right, yeah, all right, figure out who the stand user is.
What makes it work? Yeah, but here's what makes it work for me in part 5 is that all of these stand battles are split across basically like 6 different protagonists that all have pretty whack.
Oh yeah,
powers.
I think it's more an issue of like, even with all those whack powers, it's like the exact same like pacing of
it's
everything.
The same I do agree with you. Yeah. It is the structure is similar, but the 6-man group dynamic and how it's like, oh, this fights Giorno and Abakio and Fugo when they fight
Man in the Mirror.
Mirror in the Mirror, thank you. Or you know, this is a Narancia and he's got to find
Squalla,
Talking Head?
Yeah, Talking Heads and Clash. Yeah, like, yeah. But that was the one I was going to bring up. Like, Talking Heads and Clash is in theory one of my favorite fights, but like just kind of having to like wait for the other shoe to drop constantly, like it just gets old for me. Like the fact that like Narancia has to like pee in front of them to make them stop like investigating things, like I don't know, that's all, like all of that's fun, but just like waiting for the other shoe to drop for them to like be clued into the fact that a stand attack is going on, like that's always, I don't know, I'm always like, all right, get on with it, come on.
This is why I'm excited to read it, because I want to see if that stuff's just naturally paced.
It's just so much better. It's just so much better. It's like because you get through it in like 2 pages.
Yeah, because all that build up in the anime it's fixed because it's an animation. You got to just wait the 8 minutes of build up before the reveal. Again, the shoe drops, as you said. Yeah. Whereas like in the manga, you just kind of can just read through it. You just go.
If it's too slow, just start speed reading. It's fine. Like get it out there, man. Push it out there, man. Like that's I'm excited for JoJo Lands. JoJolian. Kind of a mixed part at the end, like it's JoJolian is like, it's like the ending to, oh god, I don't even know what this is like the ending to.
Does
like,
it stick the landing or no?
You know what it's like, Sam, and this is gonna mean nothing to you. It's like the ending of Death Stranding, where like,
okay,
you're
last 2 pages are good, but the last 10 chapters were like, oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, like
but the last two pages made it all work.
It's not even quite like that. Like the thing about Death Stranding is like you kind of feel complete with Death Stranding, like at a certain point. And then it kind of keeps going, and you're like, oh, what's happening? Where's this going? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And you kind of feel like everything that it's building up to, like, it's sort of plateauing a little bit. And then by the end, you feel like, all right, well, that was kind of a waste of 2 or 3 hours. I didn't really get anything, like, new that I needed. And then you get that golden last 2 chapters. And in Death Stranding, it's like you get there's a long-ass cutscene. Oh my god, a Hideo Kojima game, long-ass cutscene. What? Oh my god, stop the presses. But, like, there's this, like, movie-length cutscene that's just, like, it's kind of piecing together, like, elements of the story that were told out of order, and you kind of get to see it with some clarity. And the first time I saw it, I was like, I saw all this shit, I don't care. And then, like, the second time I saw it, I like, kind of wasn't paying attention. The third time I saw it, I was like, just, like, I was holding my controller. It was not the DualShock 5, it was the Xbox One controller.
You mean the DualSense?
Sorry, the DualSense. Sorry, I was using the DualShock 4, if I remember correctly. And I was just sitting there like, I was, like, on the edge of my fucking seat. Yeah, exactly. Hold on, I was doing the Walter White. I was just... Dude, I was, like, on the edge of my seat, and I'd seen this shit, like, 3 times, because that man can direct a fucking scene. That's how good that shit is. But, yeah, like, it has that same ending where you're like, dude, I don't know if I'm gonna get anything out of this. I don't know. It keeps building up. There's kind of, like, a big wet fart moment where you're like, oh, I wasted my time. And then, like, it picks it back up. It kind of gets back there. You're like, still a little shaky. Are they going to stick the landing? Are they going to stick the landing? And then Death Stranding has, like, the perfect 2-minute ending where there's, like, no dialogue, and it's just, like, beautiful. And this has, like, the most mundane, lame ending, and it's so brilliant. Like the stakes of that ending and, like, the way it resolves are, like, so low and so unsatisfying if you don't, like, have, like, the themes of the story on lock. Like, it seems so, like, weird and left field, but it's perfect. So yeah, JoJo Leon, like, a lot of people ended up hating it. Like, a lot of people, because of the ending, they, like, despise the part. It's one of those endings, like a Darling in the Franxx, or like a... Oh. like a... What? There's other endings like this. Game of Thrones, obviously.
Yeah.
Where like, certain people thought the ending was so bad, they're just, like, done. They refuse to have any more kind words. Metal Gear Solid 5, another one that people have that feeling for.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, dude. I did.
Yeah, no, I did too. I like the ending now, but like,
yeah, you swallowed enough copium to where you like the ending now.
I did. It only took 5 years. Yeah, but like a lot of those endings where it's like, oh, the whole thing is just ruined now. Like, JoJo Leon has one of those endings to a lot of people. I disagree, but I'd be interested in seeing, like, how you feel about the ending. I have a feeling that you're gonna finish it and you're gonna go, okay, and then put it down and never think about it again.
Yep, that sounds about right.
And you're just gonna, like, JoJo Leon's just gonna be like one of those JoJo parts that, like, you'll only remember when I bring it up. You know, like, I feel like that's you with, like, part 1, or, like, kind of like a part 6 even.
But I like part 1. I don't really talk about it because there's not really much for me to say.
That's what I'm saying, where, like, that's, like, but here's the thing, once I get talking about part 1, I can get you talking about part 1.
Yeah, man. I'm amped to read it, dude. It's only 44 chapters. I'm going to get through that in, like, 2 days.
And it's great.
It's gonna be
By
awesome.
the way, part 1 is great.
I'm sure it is. I also, by the way, I'm really excited to read some old ass manga too, because this shit's from, like, what, the late 70s,
1987,
right?
I believe.
87?
Yeah,
okay, all right. I think
that
late
part
80s?
3 is 91, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I believe it's 87, 88, or 89 for part 2, probably 89, 91 for part 3, 94, possibly 95 for part 4. I think it's 95. I think it might even be like 97 to 2000 for part 5. 2000 to 2003 for part 6, 2003 to 2011 for part 7, and then 2011 to 2021 for part 8.
Wow. Well,
he took his time.
I'm really excited. I really hope JoJo Land sticks to landing in 2034.
Oh, Araki will be dead by then. It'll be like a Miura thing where his assistant's gonna have to his assistant, who no one knows the name of, is gonna have to finish it.
That's why I'm kind of shocked he even started another part, because I was like, dude, don't you want to retire?
He's only 61 is the first thing, and second of all, he has said that he considers JoJo his life's purpose. Like, it seems like he's gonna die writing JoJo. I think that's what he wants to do. I think he wants to die while writing JoJo.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, which is kind of awesome. It's like pretty awesome that he just loves this.
That's cool. I mean, dude, I couldn't imagine committing myself to like one project for my entire life, like one series or one franchise that's like my thing, and this is all I do.
Oh, well, it's a very mangaka thing. Like, you know, I think a lot of mangaka, like, they kind of just accept their whole life is at some point in one story, and it's genuinely, it's the level of like dedication that Americans just don't have in creating things. Like, unless you're an actor, I think a lot of actors are able to, like, if, like, when you're Jack Bauer for 9 years, right? For 9 fucking seasons. And that's from 2000 to 2014.
But that's not like.
But you're not.
That's not like your life's work. That might be what you're known for, or that might be the most prolific thing you've done.
I'm saying that's the equivalent of it. Like, that's sort of the equivalent of it. Like a George Lucas with Star Wars, right? Even he kind of puttered around with other franchises.
Yeah.
And even though he's kind of known for that, George Lucas is
known for Star Wars. It's his big
he's had a
thing.
very storied career as a producer and as a creative producer and executive producer. Like, he's produced a lot of things that they're not like beloved, a lot of them are very interesting and storied. You know, Twice Upon a Time. He did Twice Upon a Time, which is like a surrealist animated comedy film that's been like redubbed twice, just as a commercial disaster.
I've never heard of this before.
It was a big failure. Like, no one, I think it's a popular like film with like animation geeks, like the kind of people who like
the people who are so hurting for content that it's like, yes,
not quite. I more like people who like Russian animations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like kind of people who are really into like animation, like technique and animation innovations, rather than like, oh, I'm a fucking 4-year-old and I like cartoons even though I'm 38. I was talking about this with a friend of mine. I know that you are not the biggest Disney fan, so you're probably going to enjoy this talk.
Oh, okay.
where I was just thinking, like, I think the biggest losers on the fucking planet are people who like get mad that Hercules, the Disney Hercules, is not historically accurate. Like, I think that might be, if that is your opinion on Hercules from 1998, you are a loser.
So hold on.
You belong in an incel support group.
Dude. Okay, so let me just say that I've never seen the movie Hercules. In fact, if you named the Disney movie, the answer is I probably haven't seen it.
It's fine.
Yeah, most of the shit's fine. You know, I'm sure it's all fine.
A lot of it's good. A lot of it's good.
Oh, I'm sure Lion King was good. I saw that when I was like 18.
Here's the difference, Sam. I would say, oh yeah, a lot of it's good, or a lot of it's good. And those are two different emotions. Like, one is like, oh, I mean,
it's all right.
No, one is like, I really think if you're interested, you should check it out. And then the other one is like, yeah, it's good. You don't have to check it out. Like, that's the difference. Oh yeah, no, it's good. It's like, yeah, no, I think it's really good. Like, that's me endorsing the product. It's good. Yeah, it's good. That means like, all right, you've heard everything. You're done.
We as an online, as like internet denizens, we need to be more upfront and honest about this type of shit. About when we say something's good and it's a recommendation versus something's good, but you probably should you don't need to.
I'm telling you it's good because I know you don't care. and I'm giving you permission not to care. Like, if someone's like, yeah, I've heard Resident Evil 4 is really good, right? And we'll talk about the remake. I know people want me to talk about the remake for a bit. Discord ask, so that's not me tooting my own horn, but blowing smoke out.
You wanted to hear
ass.
Yourself talk about the
you know
Resident Evil
you know what,
remake.
Sam? I actually didn't. I actually don't want to talk about this remake, but I will, and I'm gonna try and keep it short because I don't care. But like,
so are you not gonna? I mean, I hate to get off Hercules so soon. Hold on, let me ask you really. Hold on, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. With Hercules, I've definitely seen at least two.
There's a wire. There's a wire under my
people.
foot. I'm trying to like move it. Sorry.
2 or 4 people online over the course of my life say some shit or be mad online that Hercules is not historically accurate.
That's too many people, Sam. You don't understand. That's too many people to have that opinion.
But let me ask. But I just want to know about those people. Do you think they share like are they logically consistent? Or do they complain about Pocahontas? Do they keep that energy with Pocahontas?
No.
Do they keep that energy with The Little Mermaid?
That's what I always,
that energy?
Like, that's what I always notice is, like, no. And it's interesting because I think Greek myth people, we joked about this with SMT5 where I was talking about, like, my mythology tier list where I had, like, Egyptian mythology as, like, D tier or whatever. Hindu mythology, kind of either A or S. I kind of got really into Hindu mythology from that game, but... for that franchise, I should say. But, like, Greek mythology people are genuinely, like, they belong in a high school locker. Like, their particular love of this particular mythology makes them geeks. In a way that I just cannot.
You're telling me loving Greeks makes you a geek?
Hey, you know, that's what it used to. That's what it used to say on those juicy couture pants across the ass.
geeking for Greeks.
Yeah, geeking for Greeks. It would just say that across the ass. Sluts would wear that shit all the time. Like, that's how it was, baby.
Dude, you don't like all the fucking and all the ambrosia drinking and all the random killing that happens in these stories.
With Greek mythology, like, as a thing, and I think people are interested in Greek mythology. Like,
you just have a problem with the fandom.
I have a problem with the fandom who like Greek mythology, but only because they think it's like secretly raw, and they kind of like don't have the same interest in other mythologies.
Yeah,
like people who
I mean, I
very
understand
specifically
that, yeah.
like pin. Like I feel very similar. Like there are guys like us, right? You're not a shoujo person. I'm a
losers.
Yes, but we're premier losers. There are
as opposed to those Final Cut losers.
Dude, we're director's cut losers. Enhanced on Blu-ray losers. But
no, we're straight to video, bro.
Hey, no, Sam, we're straight to VHS, but we have the special features at the end of the tape.
Oh, okay.
We're special features included.
Turn the tape in reverse to listen to a director's commentary.
The director's commentary is just me complaining about YouTube comments. Which I do. We have so much to get to today, but yeah, like. It's like you're not a shoujo person. I like shoujo. I also like shonen, and we both like seinen.
Women.
Yeah. Like I like a lot of like magical girl stuff. I like a lot of those kinds of like dramas that are in shoujo. A lot of dramas are kind of like high court political dramas. Like Game of Thrones would have been a shoujo, is all I'm saying. It would probably have been as violent, like, or as cutthroat, like politically. It just might not have had as much like. Man, dicks like that. There is a lot of those kinds of elements of Game of Thrones, which is I have no problem with it. But like Game of Thrones would have been a shoujo where it would have been just beautiful kings and queens like bickering and stabbing each other in the back while looking hot. You know, like that's a very shoujo thing, and I'm into stories like that as well.
Yeah, I like a little shoujo romance.
Yeah,
I'm a big dress up darling
shoujo
guy.
romance
That's
is
definitely
great.
shoujo through and through.
But then you have people who are like. like, oh yeah, I love shoujo, and they've seen Sailor Moon. They've seen 8 episodes of Sailor Moon, and they have a mood board. Or like people who are like, yeah, no, I love anime, and all they watch is shonen, but specifically My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh man, that's
Greek mythology people are those guys.
Greek mythology people are the Attack on Titan.
They're fucking mythology tourists, Sam. And I'm not gonna propone is not a word, I don't think. I'm not gonna pretend like I know every mythology ever. All right, I've done my homework.
Oh, dude, no. You're who you're talking about right now is me. I really only know shit about Greek mythology, and you know what? I gotta be honest. In my defense.
What's what you were taught in school?
The media I fucking grew up on was all Greek shit, dude. I grew up on Percy Jackson, Greek. Classic God of War trilogy, Greek. The Arthur episode where DW recounts the Odyssey, Greek. Like, you know, this is what I know. This is what I grew up on, you know. If Yu-Gi-Oh didn't suck up all the Egypt shit in the early 2000s, and maybe we could have gotten some love for Anubis and Set and the rest of the fucking game.
Which I did watch. First of all, thanks to JoJo Part 3 for bringing that back. But like I did watch a lot of Egypt stuff as like a preteen. We did some Egypt shit in high school. Like that was
I remember. Yeah, shout out the Western Civ class.
Yeah, no, we
talking about like Egypt and Mesopotamia,
Mesopotamia, Greek. Greece, which by the way, Mesopotamian, like shit like that. There is actually a straight up plot point in SMT5 about Lamu. Lamu is a Babylonian god. One of the plot points is that he is mad that a younger god, which is the god, our god in heaven, basically made himself the top dog and made it so no one else can be like as powerful as him. So he feels slighted by a younger god. Like that's like a whole element of that story. So that's some fun stuff there.
I was just about to say before I stopped myself, I'm like, oh yeah, just like Kronos. I'm like, no, then I'm proving Miles's point. I do only know Greek.
Just like Kronos from Space Jam 2,
A
New Legacy.
Dude, I saw an interview the other day. So YouTube's been on this kick recently of like, hey man, you want to watch some NBA content, right? I'm like, I guess so. I guess so. So it's like, yeah, so I watched like 3 videos in a row about like Ja Morant and his whole controversy right now. I can't believe we're talking about this.
I'm sure, hold on, and I know which channel you're getting this from. It's called Rebound.
No, actually it was AM Hoops. It was AM Hoops.
Okay.
But Rebound has been recommended to me.
Rebound gets recommended.
Half point.
No, NBA shit, Rebound always comes up. That channel's, by the way, that channel is one of the funniest things in the world because it's super successful, but you click on the channel and their YouTube banner is not like Rebound, right? It just says, please subscribe. And it's like, but it's got like the cry, like an emoji of like someone with like the teardrop. And it's like, it's like the most bottom, like sexual bottom YouTube banner I've ever seen. It is a submissive YouTube banner.
Oh man, it's so good. But yeah, dude, I love these sports channels like AM Hoops, and then another one that's also awesome in the baseball field is Baseball Doesn't Exist. Although the one thing that both AM Hoops and fucking Baseball Doesn't Exist do is they like enunciate their scripts where it was like, this week the MLB did this, which led to this happening, and someone almost got arrested, and they keep well, that energy that's the what I've been whole saying video
with like true crime YouTubers. Like I keep saying that I can finally do this now that we're on camera, and I'm sorry to the Spotify listeners, but like my Nexpo, there's this YouTuber called Nexpo and like the true crime field.
I've watched Nexpo. I've watched Nexpo.
And that man might be setting a record for the longest dramatic pauses. Like he'll just be like, and that would be the last day of their lives. And like I'm just like I know what you're gonna say, man. You're not keeping me in suspense. You're giving me an ulcer.
He's running up his watch time.
Oh yeah, dude, that's the strat. That's the strat. If he can call it suspense, he can get another 28 seconds out of the video.
Dude, can I be honest with you, Myles? I know you're a horror guy, dude. But I feel like horror is an excuse to put out some just garbage.
Dude, horror content is like horror content is the gossip news of like morbid topics. Like literally, it is so funny. People will talk about like cold cases and serial killers and stuff like that with like just if you had a different aesthetic, it would be exactly like an E-News story, which I would genuinely love it if it was like, Drew Peterson went out on the lake recently and was seen dumping blue barrels, which contained several body parts from his wife. And it's just like this like nasally bitch talking like this like black guy in a suit with coiffed hair, like adjusting his tie, making like little jokes. It's like, first of all, the biggest don'ts in serial killers. But first, we have a little special story to talk about 3 child murders that happened in Des Moines. And like they cut to like this like bitch in a red dress where she's like, recently, 3 children were found dumped on the river, in Des Moines, Iowa, and like they have like the glittery background, like the purple background with like the paparazzi stars. They have like pictures of these dead bodies, but they have like the white frame.
Yeah, we got the E-News image pan of like the dead bodies on the river, and it's like like rotate the zoom turn,
like, and. But what happens is like they talk to like a police officer and they like hold the mic in his face, right? He's on like a red carpet behind him. Like there's just like the purple backdrop behind him that just says like Des Moines PD, and he's just, like they're just holding the big like entertainment microphone in his face, and she's like standing there with her hand on her hips like. Well, this like fat like cop with like sunglasses is talking about like, yeah, it's a tragic loss for our community and all these people, and
it's a dark
thing, and she's like, that true crime is just that, but like they disguise the sleaze of it and like the gossip of it with like piano stings and like the like plug-in VHS effects. And dramatic pauses and ASMR level recording. I've done the voices 100,000 times on this podcast. I'll fucking do it again because I think it's funny. But like all these fucking channels, like if we were gonna be talking about like Oscars shit, where it's like,
Kehoi Kwan recently had a very important discussion about representation in media,
and then it's just like it just says E-News, VHS effects all over the place. like at the beginning it says this content may be disturbing for some viewers, and it's talking about like
the history of Hollywood has been explicitly exclusive to Asian Americans.
In our special report, we are going to be breaking down.
Yeah, just I'm obviously doing Lazy Masquerade. Lazy Masquerade's he has this like up talk that kills me, where he's like,
no one thought much of it at the time, but suddenly they started getting mail from an account that they didn't recognize,
and it's just like oh my god. Shut up, Dumbledore! Like, shut the fuck up.
It kind of a little Erda historian energy almost, but with more positive inflections.
Yeah, there is that element of it. I did want to bring up something really stupid.
Oh, it's Crackhouse, baby! Hit me with
really
it.
Stupid. I'm a big fan of Underworld, which is the name of a stand in Part 6.
Greek! Fucking Greek!
That's Tartarus, you moron! It's Hades, you idiot!
I'm so sorry, so you're a fan of the band Underworld or
I'm a
whatever?
fan of the band Underworld, which is the name of a stand in part 6. And this is like one of those like okay, so obviously something becomes a meme or something becomes a JoJo thing on like virtual insanity just got very popular because of TikTok.
I've noticed this recently of the man in the funny hat moving towards my
like
screen.
But it's very like fast, things like that. There's a great one that's him moving towards the screen and it says me sneaking up on the unsuspecting police officer to steal his service weapon. Just like there's some good ones. There's some good ones. There's one that's like a Phantom Pain edit and it's like me and Yaku Oba supply outpost when I see an S-ranked soldier. It's like a Venom Snake version of that. He's sneaking towards the camera. Like there's some good ones. There's some good edits. But someone said under a song called 2 Months Off, which was used in a disco ballad Stand I Catch, like a fan Stand I Catch. A little over a decade ago, I was in a really dark place in my life. I heard the song and now I'm trapped inside a plane underground, which is that's a JoJo thing. Something that happens in that part. And so you have all these people who are like, haha, JoJo, I get it. I get it. And then someone just by the name of Ordinary Bear with his profile picture is just the default O when you enter your name on Google. And he says, being 43, here's a suggestion that could help many. Therapy of reflection. Here are a few to try. Popular Monster by FIR. Bring Me to Life. Soulbury Hill. In the Air Tonight. And it's just like him, like, he actually believes that this guy is going through a hard time. And he just wants to help with music that has gotten him through hard times. And it just makes me feel bad for memeing. You know what I mean? Like, that there's just these, like, earnest people who, like, their response to certain memes is just to help. Like, just to try. And to see them be tricked by these fucking Zoomers. It's like, makes me want to hang up the old meme hat, hang up my old JK hat, put it on the rack, and slide backwards out of the... makes me want to do the right thing and just let these fogies enjoy their music instead of making my dumb jokes about a stand named fucking Boston.
You know but you know the meme of like you find like you go on a fucking city pop track or whatever, you scroll the comments and the top comments are all these fake ass stories about how I met my wife in fucking Okinawa in fucking 1992. This song was on the fucking jukebox and we just have a really special memory to it. We danced to this song at our wedding. It's like, no, you fucking did it. No, you fucking did it. You're a fucking 40-year-old Floridian motherfucker Sam, wrestling crocodiles right now.
Like, the hardest one I've ever seen that I like truly believe cannot be fucking real. And I think it's real and it's so fucking sad. But on the Smashing Pumpkins song Tonight, there's a comment that's like, I sang this song to my daughter every night, and like you think like, okay, yeah, no, you didn't. And he said for the short 19 days she was alive, and I was like, fuck. No, you can't fucking do this to me. Like that one is just too hurtful not to be real. You know what I mean? Like you would have to be like a supremely like horrible person to want attention that much to make up a story that sad.
In the YouTube music comment section
under the Smashing Pumpkins song Tonight off of Melancholy there was and Infinite Sadness.
I have to yeah, that's a brutal record to be singing
to your newborn daughter who's dying.
Why aren't you singing like Sunny Day?
Tonight is. It's an optimistic song. It's about how life goes on and you'll get past these kinds of things. Like, but holy shit, dog. Like, dude.
I'm sorry, when you say tonight, I can't keep thinking of that shitty fucking pop song from like 2008, 2009, where it goes, there's a party on the rooftop, top of the world, tonight! I cannot do anything but think of that song. I cannot think of anything else.
There's a couple of like party anthems that just like, they just get stuck in your head because they have the stupidest line. The one obviously the do the Helen Keller and talk with your hips. That's a pretty famous one. Where like I think they will write the stupidest possible line just to like get you to remember the song. I think the entirety of Fireflies is just that. The dumbest possible lines.
Would not believe your eyes.
10 million fireflies.
Man,
by the way, that song has, I swear to Christ, the same instrumentation as Zombie on Your Lawn from Plants vs. Zombies.
And I'd like to make myself believe that Riverside didn't fuck me. It's hard to say that I'll ever see my $288 again.
That's how much we spend on this program for you jack-offs.
Yeah, dude, fuck it. By the way, I was gonna say, guys, if you can start a podcast out there, little podcast advice, use Zencaster.
We were gonna do Zencaster too.
We were gonna do Zencaster. Can I admit to something, Myles, on the show publicly?
We have never let you not do that.
Can I share a moment of
we have
weakness?
Literally never let you not do that. Please go.
I was a victim of good advertisement for Riverside. I'll just admit it, bro. I'll just admit it, dude. Anytime I looked up shit about video podcasting and stuff, everything that fucking popped up was fucking Riverside, or it was Riverside articles talking about how Riverside is better than the competition, and they do so much more advertising than any of the other podcast platform competitors like Zencaster or StreamYard or Zoom Lamau, and you can't, and it was just one of these things where it's like, people use this. I did read elsewhere. I didn't just read what was on the fucking website. So, at least there's that. But, like, fuck, man. Oh, it's so fucking annoying. But anyways, Resident Evil 4 is a game that is coming out again. And apparently Myles hates the remake. Apparently he fucking hates it.
I don't hate the remake. I just think that the remake was exactly what I expected it would be, and I just don't have anything interesting to say. It's like, I called it right away, because here's the thing. The tank controls in Resident Evil 4, of course people don't fucking like them, because on principle, people don't like anything that isn't immediately, like, intuitive to them. Yeah, they'll complain the fucking second a camera system is different than they want.
If a third-person game does not, let me rephrase. If a third-person game primarily with guns doesn't fundamentally play or control like Gears of War.
Yeah, nowadays no one's gonna like it.
It's just, it's not acceptable to fucking people. Even though standing your ground, aiming and shooting is so fundamental to how Resident Evil 4 operates.
And then it's also just fun, like in that game. And then it's also just part of what makes it good, because it's like, all right, this is do or die. I have to do this right, because I am stuck, and if I miss my shot, there's just nothing that I can do besides, like, if I'm good and fast enough, I can do a backstep, and it is just barely gonna miss me. And that level of, here's the thing. So I'm not going to go on my big tank control tirade. I don't need to. I've done it a million times. But the best thing I can say about Resident Evil 4 that will kind of help you understand homophobia.
Oh yeah, let me get the label out, everybody.
This episode's sponsored by Chick-fil-A. After this, we're going to talk about Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
What a dated joke.
I played, for the record, I played like 4 hours of that game.
I'm sure it was mid.
I saw it had fucking a gear score system, and I kind of stopped playing, and I'm like, I'm done.
I'm not doing this. I do want to talk slightly about this game, because it does kind of tie into Resident Evil 4 and other things.
Go for it.
In a way. And other things. I'll get to it, but like, the mechanical rigidity of Resident Evil 4 is such that even though the tank controls are uncomfortable, when you flick back on the stick, Leon will move a fixed distance backwards every single time, and every enemy attack is like spaced out perfectly to start right where Leon is standing, and to always be the exact length that if you flick back on the stick, it is guaranteed to miss. Like, and that level of like rigidity and consistency where you can just pull back on the stick and just start backpedaling and Leon will near miss the shot every time is like perfect. Like, it's what makes that game so good and white knuckle and exciting. Like,
you know what's kind of funny about you saying it and phrasing it like this? And it's funny what I'm about to say because of the development history, but dude, this has a lot of DMC1 energy.
oh yeah, no, like DMC1 is also very rigid, where like the movement is super rigid. Like, and rigidity to movement, like, here's the thing. With like Ocarina of Time speedruns, Majora's Mask speedruns as well, but no one cares. Because, like, the Ocarina of Time speedrun is, like, optimized to fucking hell in a way that,
the Ocarina of Time as a speedrun is not popular anymore. It's, like, not even a top 40 or 50 speed game, which is hysterical.
It's because it got routed to shit to the point that now it's really boring. And by the way, the same thing happened to Majora's Mask. Like, a lot of,
yeah, I'm sure. All the Zelda games, especially the N64 ones, are busted as hell.
Yeah, they're busted as hell to the point where they're not fun to run or watch. And that's why a lot of these Ocarina of Time people are doing randomizers now. Because otherwise it's just, like, speedrunning the game is just no longer interesting because it's nonsense. But, like, people used to do,
you weren't even, like, playing the game.
Yeah, at some point you were literally just doing, like, sequences of movements that made no sense to the people watching the game. Right?
It's like any percent Mario World.
Yeah.
And it's like...
where
it's like it's 60 seconds.
Yeah, and it's bullshit, and no one wants to watch it. Like, it's like a curiosity to see someone beat Pokemon Yellow in 0 seconds. But, like, no one wants to watch it, because it's just inputs, and no one can fucking parse out what is going on unless they know.
Have you seen the Summoning Salt, the new Summoning Salt doc on Mario 3, 100%?
No.
Oh, dude. Now that's a fucking speedrun category.
Oh, yeah.
That
I love
single category,
3.
Mario 3 100% specifically, features, and I've watched all his docs multiple fucking times, and I've seen plenty of other speedrunning documentaries outside of Summoning Salt that are also high quality and excellent in their own rights. Mario 3 100% specifically, features quite possibly the single most depressing world record in speedrunning history and the single most incredible world record in speedrunning history.
The most depressing world record in history is the GoldenEye run. The GoldenEye N64 IL, the silo.
From our White Goose that you sent me.
Yeah. I'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, like Ocarina of Time has such mechanical rigidity that like a lot of people could, I guess I'll show it on my controller, you know, they could hold down ZL, hop, you know, 3 times or whatever, and they'll be exactly what they want to be. Okay, we'll do a neutral roll, and I know where to put the bomb down. Okay, great. Like that level of mechanical rigidity it's not interesting to like the kind of player who's only going to play a game once and who's like going to suck their ass through the whole thing. But like to people who are going to get really into the game and who want to get interested in like being fucking good at it, like that level of mechanical rigidity allows for like repeated strategies or for you to kind of develop, you know, consistencies for difficult rooms.
The IO Hitman trilogy is based on this whole concept.
Yeah, like this idea of like, okay, you want to be exactly where you want to be at the exact time you want to do it, and it's going to work out most likely in your favor every time. Like that is an attribute of a game of that caliber and that level of mastery, and like that's just like not in the game anymore. The other thing that I knew is that the stop and pop of RE4 had this very good flow where you shot the enemy and then Leon could immediately get back to moving and running. Like it, you know, it took, the camera had to pan back behind you, but like that took like, I don't know, a couple milliseconds. And when that's done, Leon's right back to running. You can run up to the enemy, you can hit the A button, do your attack, and you're right back in control of the character. But they kind of have these more realistic animations. So you finish your shot and then Leon has to like start up as a run, and then you have to charge the enemy. You have to hit the X button, you have to wait for the animation to end, and then you have to start back up the character again. So it's like not nearly as like fluid and sort of like Resident Evil 4 was more of a sequence. Like you kind of play that game in sequence where everything you did sort of linked into each other until the enemy was dead or until you kind of needed to leave the sequence and regroup and do something different. RE4 kind of feels like every action you take is like, I don't know, it feels very like disparate and sloppy. Like, I'm just doing this because reacting stimuli, this is like the best option that I have right now. In a way where Resident Evil 4 kind of always felt like a game where you put yourself in situations where you would get the best outcome. And for this particular game, it kind of has the opposite feeling of like, I have to play by reaction and I have to play by opportunity because I just can't rely on things to be set up right. And that is a very different kind of engagement. That's a good model for making a game tense and scary, you know, and Resident Evil 2 Remake did this. But it's not for me. I don't really like that sort of thing from Resident Evil. I like Resident Evil being like this like thing I can master, with some degree of like randomness or like emergent stuff happening, like a nerd becoming a slut. A little joke, a little emergence joke. But the nerd to slut pipeline. But
I only read the first like third of it.
Why would you read that? Even though I recommended it, why would you read that?
Oh, I mean, I was curious. Well, it's so popular. I was curious.
It's genuinely like, that's like miserable. And we've talked about it before, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But I do recommend it though. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not even going to get it. Like the remake. I don't know.
I can't morally justify buying the remake right now. I gotta beat the original game, and then I can play the remake.
That's the thing for me.
I can't be. What am I, a poser? I can't play the remake.
That's the thing for me, and like I kind of already hate that people are like, this remake was so desperately needed.
No,
like,
it wasn't. Play the original.
No, the original plays just fine, and you'll live. Like, you'll be fine after a minute and a half of gameplay.
And what I feel, and like, we're at least like with like Resident Evil 2 Remake or Resident Evil 3 Remake, those are just fundamentally like different games.
They're brand
when
new
you really,
games.
Yeah. It's like an entirely new thing. It's from a whole different perspective, kind of technically a whole different genre too. Like, with technically being like a more third-person shooter. Like, as opposed to the more like classic survival horror isometric-ish fixed camera perspective of 2 and 3, and those games add a lot more. Where like 4 just didn't. It just didn't need like that, you know, or it didn't even. I'm not even saying that RE2 and 3 necessarily needed to be remade.
But it's less needed because not only like. Because as much as fans wanted it, I don't think there's just that much to do like with it. I think what they're gonna do is there's gonna be a lot of new sequences and new content, and there's gonna be kind of reimaginings of things. But like there is a lot of like modernization elements that are like so, I don't know. They're just like there's like a big difference. Different. They're just completely different.
Let me give it a great example. So I played about half of the Dead Space remake, and I fell off it because I started playing fucking Kenshi.
Which I heard is good.
Oh, dude, you want me to get it free on Steam? It's $15 right now.
Yeah, sure,
I'll buy
get
it
it for me
you
on Steam. Why not? I'll play it.
You should definitely play, and we can talk about it in the show because I love it. It's like it's probably a top 5 game of mine right now.
Jeez.
On my list of top 25, which by the way, I'm concocting the 5x5.
Oh, can't wait.
I'll reveal it on the show when I feel confident and I have it solidified. I have it down to like 30 games right now. I want to like sit on it a bit more.
I did talk about this. I have to do the great culling where I just like replay all of the top 25 games and just see which ones survive. There's a couple that I don't need to like bother. Like it's like, yeah, like Resident Evil is not going to fall off at this point. Super Metroid is not going to fall off at this point. I don't need to bother there, but like there's some like SMT5.
Nier already fell off, bro.
Nier already fell off,
dude.
It fell off for SMT5, and now I got to replay SMT5 and see if that holds up. There's a couple of others that like are like, are we still about this? Like Hatsune Miku Project Diva F2. As much as I love that, am I still about it?
Yeah, does it like still mean the same thing to you? Because that's something I had to confront when I was making my list.
Yeah,
I was like, man, I would used to say all the time that this is my favorite game, but I haven't played it in like I haven't played Shovel Knight in like 4 years. Like 4 years.
That's the thing. Like with Ocarina of Time, like I'll always have that like feeling for it, right? But it's interesting. Like with Tears of the Kingdom, I'm already kind of like, yeah, Breath of the Wild ain't shit. But not really. I still have like nothing but respect for the game. But I'm kind of at the point in my life where I'm like, yeah, I can just be. I could be like, I can stop like cherishing this as like this like thing that like is so unique and different, and kind of start looking towards this idea of like, oh, things can be as good or better because we're having a fucking sequel. Like
but I even feel like though to give us ourselves a little bit of credit, I feel like even when we would talk about Breath of the Wild, like pre-time skipping stuff that, you know, we
always acknowledged it. We always
acknowledged that this is just a great baseline. This is such an awesome baseline, and there's so much to improve on. I think what's already here.
Either you or I called it like the 10 of today, where like that's like a like where it's like, oh yeah, no, for what we have seen and for where games are versus where they can go, like this is wonderful.
Oh yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't hit the same 5 years later, 6 years later, because I was talking to a good buddy of mine the other day about this, just how like gaming in like 2017 versus gaming in 2023 is just totally different.
Oh yeah,
it's just fundamentally different. And to 2017's credit, it was way different then than it was in 2011 or 2012.
That's how it always is, and like. But yeah, like, it just doesn't hit the same, especially because it's like, okay, well, we have a sequel. We've known we've had a sequel for a while, and we kind of have an idea of what the sequel is going to be. Like, we can sort of start looking away from this thing as like a, like as this cherished, special, good thing that, like we have to treasure because we can probably do better now. I feel that I think people kind of felt that way with Dark Souls when Dark Souls 3 came out or Bloodborne came out, where like even Demon Souls to Dark Souls. Like, I think Dark Souls kind of put Demon Souls in that same position where, like... you kind of had to stop looking at it as, like, this wonder egg that had priority.
Yeah, wonder egg priority. You actually just reminded me bringing up the Demon Souls to Dark Souls jump. The other, like, a couple months ago, my folks were doing some cleaning around our house, and they happened to find a old Game Informer from 2011 that had the Game Informer review of Dark Souls, and they gave it like an 8.75 or whatever. And I was reading their review, and it was like a page long or whatever, and they were basically talking, and they're like, yeah, it's open world Demon Souls. I'm like, dude, this shit is awesome, because now we have open world Dark Souls with Elden Ring.
We have open world, we have open world Demon Souls, because Elden Ring is more like Demon Souls than it is like Dark Souls, for one reason: the magic system.
Facts. Yep.
It's more like, it is literally more like
the utility of the magic.
Yeah, it is more like Demon Souls than it is like Dark Souls. And especially aesthetically, too. Demon Souls also has this kind of fog haze element to it. Very green. Demon Souls is very green, whereas Dark Souls very brown and very, decayed, brimstone. The Tower of Latria is basically just like Liurnia of the Lakes, sort of, like that kind of like magical, mystical land. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting. Boletaria is basically Stormvale.
That's accurate.
So Elden Ring is basically just Demon Souls, but open world.
The Stone Fang tunnels or whatever is basically all the mine shafts.
All the mine shafts, the hundreds of mine shafts that I complain about. Even though I'm addicted to them, because you just get items. Item after item you get in those. I'll run in there, I ignore everything, and I just mash
combat.
I just mash the Y button and get things, and just get stuff. I feel like I'm playing a freemium game. It rules.
Yeah, that's what's just fun for me about all the Souls titles is just, for me, the combat is just fun. Like, it's just fun for me to hit the monster.
I think that's definitely the big difference for me, where like I think it's fun, but I kind of always like, what I really like is like the monsters, fighting fighting the monsters and engaging in the combat as sort of like a pace breaker to like these really intricate 3D like labyrinths, like basically like these just really difficult mazes of levels where it's like, you got to get to the next archstone. There's just there's no autosave. You can't do better. Like, you just got to do it.
Yeah, how do you like reconcile with like Bloodborne? Because like Bloodborne's a much more on like the linear side.
Well, that's the thing. Like the levels are brilliant though. Like the actual like areas in Bloodborne are so like intricate and they weave so much and they're so dense.
They're
like,
great, dude.
Yeah, so like that's what I care.
It feels like there's so much optional content in Bloodborne.
There is.
It feels like
that game is like 60% optional content. It's actually insane. I mean, if we're counting the DLC. I think if we're counting the DLC, like that game is like all optional content, like in a weird way. There's a lot of like events you never have to see, and to be fair, that's a very Souls thing to do.
Yeah,
but like I do think that like Elden Ring, for as impressive of a game of discovery as that is, like losing out on that level design to me is like the biggest blow. And I understand, like I understand when people are like, yeah, no, Tears of the Kingdom needs dungeons. I understand them. I know how they feel now. I didn't feel that way because fuck dungeons in previous Zelda games. Like some of them are good,
dude.
But,
dungeons
like,
are. I'm sorry, dungeons are the most overrated shit in video games. I can't name one thing that gets its dick sucked more than classic Zelda dungeons, and they don't fucking deserve it. I kind of like maybe like two hands the amount of dungeons in Zelda history that like genuinely are like, oh yeah, okay, that's pretty fucking good. Like Forest Temple.
I was gonna say
that's
half
just
them
pretty
are
fucking
an
good.
Ocarina of Time. Half of them are an Ocarina of Time, and
I gotta be honest. Forest Temple, that shit fucking slaps. Spirit Temple, that shit fucking slaps. Like it's a little, kind of weird pace breaking, but I like what it's about. I like the energy.
Yeah, the vibe is good.
I could kind of take or leave Firewater in Shadow. I think Shadow's neat. I like Shadow from like a conceptual perspective. I like that it's not really puzzle driven. It's more like linear or just kind of give you an action packed dungeon.
I think the big problem with, and I think I definitely need to do this, and if you're interested, you should try it, but I need to do a fucking 3-heart run of Ocarina of Time. Because, like, the thing about that game is, like, it's designed and it's balanced around the golden path. Where, like, it just assumes you've got no heart pieces, and you have whatever your status from the last dungeon is, that's you. And that's kind of how the game is designed.
Dude, Ocarina of Time's the only 3D Zelda game I genuinely like getting the shit in. I actually like getting the stuff.
You know what the solution is, Sam? You know what the solution is? Is there's damage modifiers in the PC port.
I was about to say, that's what I can fuck with.
That's the move.
Because then at that point, it actually feels like the hearts mean something.
For me, with the 3-heart run, it's just the ability to say I did it. Because, like, here's the thing, even if I did the damage modifiers where, like, I kind of calculated, okay, I have 6 hearts, the equivalent to the 3-heart run would be this. Like, even if I did that, it's not the 3-heart run. The 3-heart run's like the challenge.
The 3-heart run, yeah, you are right. 3-heart run is, especially for us fucking Nintendo children, is like one of the most iconic video game challenge runs you can do.
There's a couple of, really...
It's up there with Nuzlocke.
There's some Nintendo specific challenge runs. This is not a Nintendo game, but it's a Nintendo game from like the culture of Nintendo for white mages.
Oh yeah.
That's a really classic one. It was proposed in Nintendo Power. That it was like, hey, if anyone wants to try this, like Final Fantasy is actually considered the first game to like popularize the challenge run.
Yeah, because you have like immediate selection of like what your fucking party is, and they let you do whatever you want, man. They're like, hey, here's 6 classes. You want all thieves? All right, you're gonna hate yourself, but okay.
But the funny part about NES Final Fantasy is you want all 4 thieves. You think that's a good idea because there's no indication that the thief doesn't work in the game, like because it's just bugs.
It's not like they tell you bad. Yeah, don't pick.
No, it's not like they tell you. Yeah, our game's broken.
It's not like Final Fantasy 1 NES early access thief class locked. It's thief class beta.
Yeah, like
still in development.
It's just everything that should work about the thief doesn't, and they probably shipped the game not knowing that. You know, like because that was the era you could get away with that in 1987 for the fucking Famicom, fucking Wonder Swan. But like, or MSX and Famicom. But
I played through Final Fantasy 1 through completion via the
Pixel
Pixel
remaster, right?
which is I still have I still bitch and moan about I don't like the art update still, but the gameplay speed is there, dude. I just wish it fucking looked like the NES games, but
yeah,
it was fucking. It had this pace.
I think the problem is
to
that
the
the
fights,
actual
the snappiness.
I think the problem is that the actual characters look like the NES things, but then nothing else does. It's just like
yeah,
really
and
jarring.
then they're like, yeah, exactly. Like they redo a bunch of pixel art from the NES games to like make them pixel remasters, but then we just take the PS1 32-bit backgrounds, and it's like, wait, what the?
You know what? You know what? The moment that I was like, "Fuck this," and I should have seen it coming. But when you showed me the picture of you trying to find Warmech, and it was the fucking Dawn of Souls air castle instead of the fucking space station, I was like, get this motherfucking remake out of here.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought up Warmech too, because dude, I had to grind for 2 hours.
So Sam,
to spawn
I can explain this.
Warmech.
I can explain this.
Okay.
The original NES game used. This is so technical. I'm sorry, everyone. None of this is going to be interesting. You guys want to hear about Tears of the Kingdom? I get it, but like, oh, and we got something else, some nitty gritty. I guess this is the nitty gritty that Unbound Soul asked for.
Yeah.
All right, so. Final Fantasy 1 uses encounter tables, and the encounter tables have a set rotation, essentially, of encounters that will be seen in sequence. And they basically roll in one after the other, right? They appear random, but they're actually based on power on. So once you switch the NES on, the encounter tables kind of load back at start. And every time that you reset... if you reset in the middle of a battle and start the game again, the encounter table will skip that battle, and you'll be on to whatever the next battle would have been had you theoretically won that fight.
Oh, okay.
So the most rare encounters typically are encounters that are in what's called the 8th encounter table, and the 8th encounter table basically requires you to have the game on for as long as possible and not like go into a reset, right? And kind of be in the same area for a certain length of time. So Warmech is in the 8th encounter table, and the 8th encounter table essentially, like in that instance, we talk about spawn rates as RNG, a 1 in 64 chance. But in the case of Final Fantasy, rather than that being a 1 in 64 chance rolling every single time that the encounter rate reaches a certain point, it's a 1 in 64 chance based on the likelihood of it coming up in the encounter table. So in the case of Warmech, it's a 1 in 64 chance because there's usually only 1 in 64 Warmech encounters on the 8th encounter, once you get to the 8th encounter table. That said, there are certain parts of the 8th encounter table where you can actually fight back-to-back Warmechs, like things like that. There is one where you fight Warmech, you fight another battle, you fight another Warmech. And this is like documented. It's not just like a thing that can happen. It is a consistent thing that can happen. And so like in theory, you could just like find that encounter in the encounter table. It would take forever, and then like level farm off of Warmech. Once you know this, but in every like remaster of the game,
oh no, I didn't level grinding off of Warmech.
Hold on,
you mean level grinding? You mean level grinding finding Warmech? Yeah, sure.
So every game moving forward actually does use that 1 in 64 roll for Warmech, and I wouldn't be surprised if it actually lowered the odds of the Warmech encounter.
I can imagine that, because if you just are playing normally and you aren't looking for Warmech and he appears, you are going to lose.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
And I think it's one of these things where, like, with the PS1 version having the bestiary, you have the internet, I think that they kind of figured out, like, people would be able to figure out that they missed an encounter somewhere with Warmech, or that they know Warmech is in the game and they can hunt for him. Yeah. Whereas in the NES version, Warman was like a cruel joke, which is awesome.
Yeah, Warmech is sick, but I just want to state that on record. I love Warmech, despite me having to take like 2 centuries of my lifetime to find him. Actually fighting him was like awesome, and also he was like way harder than Chaos.
Yeah, And by the way, in the remakes, Chaos is a legitimate threat. It's just that Warmech has one of the most like brutal rotations of attacks.
Yeah, he'll just, dude. One wrong play from him where he just selects your fighter or whatever, and you're fucked. You're just fucked.
The thing I like about Warmech, so first of all, the thing that's funny about Chaos is that basically every boss has, every enemy too, has like essentially like ability tables that, they have a rotation of abilities. So, for example, the wizard vampire will always use anti-fire. Even though, first of all, we know anti-fire is useless in the NES version. It doesn't work. Because the anti-fire checks not against the in-game battle data to decide about the change, but the starting battle data. So it basically checks to see the status of the start of the battle. And so it goes from the status of the current state of the battle to setting the fight to the start of the battle where his stats were at the beginning. So anti-fire doesn't work because it basically resets the idea of the fight. Is the best way that I can explain it in layman's terms. But he'll always use anti-fire, and then he'll always use, I think, like, so there's basically the attack, which attack is its own thing. Enemies can attack anytime. Yeah. Then they have their spells, and their spells are in rotation. And then they will have skills, which are things like the Dazzle skill. Dazzle will, put stun you. It doesn't put you to sleep. It stuns you. So Chaos is like spell things. It's like he uses like slow, whatever he uses first, and then like slow 2, and then he'll use like a powerful spell, and then he uses Cure 4, which heals him to full health, and then he'll do like, a couple other different things, and then he'll do fucking nuke, and then it just starts over, so he'll just like kind of rotate between 4 spells, and the 4th spell is like the nightmare spell that you don't want. It's nuke and Cure 4. And it's like, it's something that's kind of awesome when you know about the fight, because like that actually makes it really tense. Like, it's more tense to understand the mechanics of the fight than to be like, oh god, what's he gonna do? Because when you see
just going blind,
you see him use slow 2, you're like, shit, I better end this quick because he's got Cure 4 on deck. Like there's something really fun about that, and it is interesting. Like Final Fantasy 1 is both a better and a worse game the more you understand it, like as a game. Like you realize it's like a piece of shit because nothing works, but then like,
yeah, it's got Gen 1 Pokemon energy, like Red and Blue. Like if you understand like the way in which Red and Blue is broken, like especially with like badge boost, where like so for example, so in case you don't know, Myles, in the first generation, on completion of badges 1, 3, 5, and 7, you gain a boost to, I'm pretty sure it's like attack, it's attack, defense, like special, and then speed by 12.5%. But the way the game works is that once you have this badge boost, it's supposed to just be a flat 12.5%. But anytime you up your stats, any stat you have badge boost for also will go up by another 12.5%, and it compounds on each other.
You essentially get multiple 12.5% multipliers.
Yes. Yeah, so if you use something like Defense Curl, which you can use 6 times, you can get your attack and your speed and your special
to like 256%,
all the way.
Probably, right?
Yeah, basically. And it's fucking awesome. It's awesome knowing that information and being able to take advantage of it, and it allows you to...
There is a nerdy charm to knowing these kinds of things, that like you have to be like really deep into like games as art for the sake of like games are more artistic the more you like understand them, whereas I think there's 2 divides here. I think that there are people, I talk like a gay.
Myles, how do we bridge the cultural divide, dude?
How do we bridge
between
the cultural divide?
The science gamers and the art gamers, or whatever? You were going to break this down.
I was going to break it down into people who believe that games are art. The less you kind of understand that they're games, and like the more they kind of immerse you into like this idea of like oh, I'm experiencing something like beyond games, right? And then there are people probably more like us who are like really into like the artistry of game design and game mechanics, like understanding systems and like what that allows you to do. Like I think one of the reasons Breath of the Wild is so popular, for example, is the fact that Breath of the Wild is the like immersion, like, oh, I can do anything, this is an amazing game. And then at the other end of the spectrum, it's also like this like crazy physics game with like insane like combat glitches and like all these crazy properties and like math to everything that you can just like calculate down to a science. Like it's that middle ground of people who want the game to kind of be like seamlessly designed, and they want to get lost enough, but they don't want to, you know, kind of be a geek and be super into like the physics. Like they're kind of the ones who are like alienated.
I kind of understand what you're talking about, because there are people in, I guess we'll call them like the art game
They're the middle
people
zone
who really do not like when games are they want to not think they're playing a game when they play a game, you know? Like we're like, with me, I think all video games are art, but I play them like understanding like I am engaging with the video game. I just don't give a fuck. Like my thing is just like, when I sit down and play Daytona USA, I'm gonna get super immersed, even though I fucking know I'm racing in fucking Daytona USA. It's just because it's the game mechanics that immerse me. I'm big on the interactivity. To me, what immerses me in a video game is interactivity. A good story, nice graphics, that shit's great and all, but like even fun gameplay kind of falls out of this. It's about the core interactivity for me that is like what immerses
that's
me
why,
in,
like,
in great
ironically
games.
enough, that's why like even though like Devil May Cry 1 is sort of like worse, even though I don't think this way at all, it's like worse than like a Hi-Fi Rush, right? Like, because Hi-Fi Rush is like as far as like these kinds of productions go, that game is like masterfully done. But like, I just get way more immersed in DMC1 because I'm not thinking of that game as like this like weird. I don't know, like Hi-Fi Rush is almost like a score based game where like I'm constantly like doing exactly what's optimal at all times because I need that score at the end to be the right thing. Whereas like DMC1 for me, like there's routing, like I have to do this fight in a very particular way. Like I've done this fight 900 times. I know I have to do it this exact same way so I can get the right orb economy so that I can finish the level with the S rank so that I can buy air hike too. Like that's like my thing where like when I start up a fresh file of like DMC1, I'm like already thinking like, all right, by chapter 5, if I don't have air hike, I'm not going to be able to get the blue orb in the courtyard, which means I'm not going to be able to.
I'm restarting. Yeah. I'm restarting.
Yeah, which means, and here's the thing, if I don't get the special bonus on all 3 chapters, I'm gonna have to grind Alpha Phantom. Like that's like how I'm like, that's how I'm fucking thinking already with like DMC1, right? Where like that level of mechanical engagement to me, where this is like, and I feel this is why I love like Resident Evil so much, like the original like old ass Resident Evil games, or even 4, where like the whole game to me is one long metagame of every choice I make from start to finish compounds into this fucking like perfect masterpiece of a game. And like if I make one single mistake, it's gonna bite me in the ass 9 hours later. Like I love that. And I love the fact that like I can have this emergent experience of like, shit, I messed up, I have to do something radically different. But if I didn't mess up, I could have done this optimally and in the way that I know and that I like. And like, I'm not forced into that situation. I think that's kind of the big thing for me. And that's obviously that's very difficult for like an open world game to achieve, or for like a really like kind of a freeform game with like no economy. Hi-Fi Rush, I think, is like this. Hi-Fi Rush has like no real economy.
Yeah, and also too like Hi-Fi Rush is like a combo score driven action game, but it also has a lot of sections of platforming and kind of just letting the story sort of like happen and play out in front of you. So I can imagine, I haven't done a replay yet of Hi-Fi Rush, but that's a game where it's like, if I'm going to replay Hi-Fi Rush, I'm going to like replay like the game, and I'm going to watch the cutscenes, and I'm going to
laugh along with
and I'm going to like bits, enjoy it.
And it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. Whereas like when I sit down for DMC1, like I am literally sitting down knowing I'm going to beat Mundus by the end of this. And in particular, I'm going to beat Mundus with a certain amount of red orbs and a certain amount of S ranks, having done a certain amount of things. Like, when I sit down with Resident Evil Remake, like, I know, like, all right, I'm gonna need at least 5 Magnum rounds for Tyrant 1. Every choice that I'm about to make is going to lead to me having 5 Magnum rounds, for Tyrant 1. Like, a similar thing where I'm like, all right, I got 6 acid rounds. I'm playing on hard mode. That's all I get. 5 of those are going to Yawn. I have 1 extra.
You know what? You know what's so good about fucking Resident Evil Remake, man? I've only played the first, like, 6 hours, and by first 6 hours, I mean the first 35 minutes of the game.
For me, the first hour.
Like, yeah, and, like, what's so good, I beat the snake. How about that?
Snake
I
once,
remember
the
at
first
least
time or the second time?
I also saw the shark, too. I don't know if that's before or after the snake.
So you probably beat the snake the first time. That's pretty meaty.
Yeah, I don't think
That's really meaty.
Okay,
that's about 2/3 of the way into the game.
Yeah, but what I like about that game, what's fucking scary about that game is not the, or at least for a virgin playthrough, is not the mansion and the zombies, even though, you know, the dogs, you know, you go out the fucking front door. Oh, those dogs still aren't out there. Oh, yes, they are, bitch. You know, that's
what's great, too, is that in the remake, in the original, it's an FMV of a dog, like, barking and trying to get into the door, and in the remake, they actually let a dog in, and you have to fight it if you check the door.
Yeah, that's what I fucking love. And the but what's really fucking scary about Resident Evil Remake is, like, fuck, I just wasted all my ammo on that fucking snake. Like, I'm out.
And you gotta,
I'm out. I wasted my last bullet on him.
The secret of, like, oh yeah, you can totally recover from that. You can totally build back up from that. Like, when you know the game, you absolutely can. But, like, that first time, you're like, what am I gonna do? I'm fucked.
Yeah, and what I love about Dead Space Remake is Dead Space Remake has similar situations where it's like I just get thrown a counter and I'm like, oh no, I only got 3 more shots left of this, and then I gotta rely on the automatic weapon. I gotta rely on the full auto. I can't do that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting game because, like, there are shooters where, like, the economy, and even, like, again, I've mentioned Breath of the Wild a lot. It's been on my mind a lot because Tears of the Kingdom's been on my mind a lot, but like, that's a game where, like,
Less than 2
months. I can't wait. I wish I had more time, but we'll talk about that sometime. But yeah, like, that's a case of, like, by the end of the game, you kind of have all the arrows you need. You kind of have all the weapon slots you need. Weapon breaking is no big deal. Like, by that, like, shooters are kind of very similar. Where, like, you play Doom, you're really not wanting for anything. Obviously, there's a lot of ammo that you're spending, but, like, you play Doom the right way, you're never left wanting.
Yeah. Doom Eternal has a pretty good ammo economy that you're kind of responsible for with like using the chainsaw and stuff.
But if you're playing right, like it's like playing right in both of those games, like, yeah, you really shouldn't run out of things. It's a skill, right? Whereas, like, in Resident Evil
Eternal is
I was about to say,
go ahead. I was just gonna say what's fun about Doom Eternal is playing it right, is using all the weapons,
which is awesome,
and like.
So yeah, I'm definitely not saying, like, and again, like, a thing with Breath of the Wild, when you have all those arrows, like, that's when, like, combat and, like, scenarios just become like, all right, I have, like, mastered Hyrule, I'm just gonna do whatever and see if it works, and it does, and you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry if your stupid idea is gonna work or not, and it's gonna cause you to lose your favorite weapon because you know where it spawns now. It's great. But, like, in Resident Evil, like, you can actually get into a fight that just goes foobar. You miss, like, 8 shots, and you still win, but you're in a worse fucking situation.
But at what cost? Exactly. It's like, I won, but I didn't. I don't feel like I
felt
won.
like that fight was a fucking failure, and I came out of that worse than ever. It was great.
I love the limited saves too in Resident Evil 1. God, that really gets you antsy, dude. That really makes you
so
fucking
many
antsy.
saves.
Even though you got 90 slots.
There's so many saves in the game, but you don't know that. Like, it is a very similar Breath of the Wild again. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's the Korok seed philosophy, where it's like, yeah, you put enough in the game that if you find them all, you're never gonna want for anything ever again, but you're not gonna find them all. So we'll just overstuff the game with them, and you'll find 1/5 of them if you're lucky.
Exactly. Maybe. But you know what? You only need like 200 of the 900 to like fully max out the
slots.
the shit
You
anyways,
need
right?
453 to max out all of your slots, but you only need 200 to max out all the weapon slots. That's what matters. And again, like in
nobody needs more than 6 shields.
You can have 20 shields, but you're never gonna have 20 shields. It's not gonna matter.
No.
But yeah, again, like in Resident Evil, you're really only gonna need like, I don't know, 20 saves if you suck. Like, if you're saving it basically every typewriter, you're probably gonna use, I don't know, 20 saves. Like, for an ink ribbon, it comes in what? Sets of 3 ink ribbons? So you need to find 4 or 5. And you'll be fine. And you'll find more than 4 or 5 ink ribbons.
Yeah. It's just, but it's the idea in the back of your mind.
The idea that, like,
that you know it's limited.
It's also the idea that
you know you have to make it count in some way.
It's the idea that, like, you can't just, like, do one thing and then save. It's like, no, that would be a waste. I should at least try and push a little further before I save. And it gets you thinking about, like taking risks you maybe wouldn't before you ran back to the typewriter last time.
Dude, do you remember that glorious, like, fucking 12-hour period when Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice came out, and everybody thought that the game had a, like, an unknown limited amount of lives, and that if you, like, lost all of them, you had to, like, your game just deleted itself, and you had to restart from the beginning?
Awesome.
Oh, dude, I was fucking so hyped, and then they're like, nah, guys, it's not like that. I'm like, fuck you! Fucking, you piece of no integrity! There's no integrity in video games, and that's what I fucking
You know what the problem is?
Oh my god!
You know what the problem is with a game like that, Sam, though? Like, with the idea of a game like that, most people would make a permadeath mode with the assumption that you've beaten the game already. Like, and so, like, I've seen footage of Last of Us 2 Grounded, and that is a bullshit mode. We're not exactly... Crackhouse is not known for its ringing endorsement of The Last of Us Part 2, but, like, every now and then I'm always like, yeah, maybe I was too hard on that game, and then I'll see some shit about it, and I was like, I remember being miserable. No thanks. But I've seen a lot of, like, grounded content of the game, because, like, I've always been interested in, like, it's like, how does a piece of shit movie like this have a permadeath mode where it's like every time you gotta redo the permadeath mode, you have to fucking suffer through walking down hallways again and again and again.
That's my thing.
And it's like that, like, no one wants that mode. Or at the very least, no one wants that mode when it's attached to, like, such a game that like you have to fucking suffer through parts that if you're playing it for the gameplay of permadeath, you clearly are past caring at that point. It would be like making a permadeath mode for Final Fantasy VII.
God, it just would be fucking obnoxious.
It'd be fucking horrible.
It just, I think, I gotta be honest, like, because, like, I gotta be honest, I think permadeath is just kind of, like, lame and whatever. I don't really give a fuck about that shit. It's not super. It's not. There are some games where it, like, makes it, like, works, but, like, or, like, the game's built around, like, permadeath or whatever in a sense, or when a character dies or whatever, like an XCOM or whatever, your character dies.
Yeah, Rainbow Six
or whatever. Like, that shit's good. Or roguelikes when he runs over, you start at the beginning.
Just dead.
Yeah, but, like, the idea of, like, a permadeath mode where it's like, yeah, you get one chance to play on the hardest difficulty, and then if you fuck up, you gotta go back. It's like, that's not really that fun.
No,
like,
and it's fun when the game is ridiculous. Like,
it's fun if the game's like an hour, maybe.
An hour
like
and ridiculous.
Because
I was gonna say, I want to be the guy, like, the ultimate I want to be the guy mode being, like, complete nonsense is, like, great. Like, the fact that game is 30 minutes,
but that whole game's a joke about difficulty.
The game is a joke, like, which is wonderful, dude. I don't know why I did this. I do know why I did this. So there's a Red Letter Media video about the Nightmare on Elm Street series. They just kind of go through, it's a 2-part series where they talk about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and throughout the video, they're playing this, like, chiptune song, and I'm like, what is this? Like, not throughout the video, like, every now and then they'll do, like, a little cutaway gag, right? And it'll have this NES song playing under it, and I'm like, what is this? And it occurred to me, Oh, that's probably the main theme of the Nightmare on Elm Street NES game.
Elm Street video game on NES.
And so I just started watching a long play of the game. And like this was what I was doing while I was waiting for you to get out of the shower so we could start recording. So I just started watching this, and I was just like seething with hate. Like, but not in a way where I thought the game looked terrible. Like I think it looked like, I don't know, it looked like mediocre, but like not like Wally Bear and the No Gang, or like really like dumpster.
It's no Dr. Jekyll.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like it looked similar to like a game like Kung Fu or Monster Party, where it's like that's like an acceptable game. It's not great, but it's
it's like B tier. I think Kung Fu's all right.
That's fine. It's no Cheetah Men. Like you know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's no Action 52.
But that's one of those games that, like, first of all, it has the exact same like formula as Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, which is interesting.
Do you play as Freddy?
You play as like a Nightmare on Elm Street kid. You play as an Elm Street kid. And like you basically like run around this like outer world, which is like 2D, and then you go inside these mansions and you have to go clear the mansion. It's like exactly like Castlevania 2. But
do you have a whip?
No, you punch things, which is kind of fun.
Oh my god! Oh god! It's one of those NES games where the hitbox is like 2 pixels
it's
long.
Pretty long. It's pretty respectable.
It's a respectable punch.
Does not visualize whatsoever. ¿Tú quieres? But
yeah, give me some of that.
Yeah, give me some of that, baby. I heard that, by the way. I heard that in your headphones. I heard my own words in your headphones.
Uh-oh.
That ain't good. But I was just like seething with anger because something about the music, I was like, I can't put my finger on why this, like, I can't even find the right words or the right simile to this. And I just started getting mad because I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. But like the NES, the music of that is this like very specific brand of NES sound where it sounds like it was composed by an algorithm. Like you hear like the Super Mario Bros. 3 theme, and there's like little twangs, and there's like like there's like music theory there, right? You hear the Final Fantasy song, there's like music theory there, right?
Wait, is this shit like desert desert bus? Crazy bus, but
my favorite, Rad Gravity.
Oh, Rad Gravity's fucking awesome.
The Rad Gravity song is like.
It's just that over and over and over.
The title theme is like it's like Persian scales, but like super duper fast. What's another good one? Yeah, I mean, even the Rad Gravity theme like has music theory behind it. Like it's like a classic. Like again, I mentioned Persian scales, right? Like this like Friday the 13th song just sounds like it sounds like if I went to like if there was a thing called like Symphony AI, right? And I typed it in and I said compose me a song for an NES game. And that's what it would come up with. And like that's the best I can do to describe it.
I want to listen to this for myself right now. Do you know what the track is called?
I can hum a bit of it and you'll hear it.
Is it the one where is it hold on. I'm sorry. I typed in Friday the 13th.
You mean Nightmare on Elm Street?
I'm sorry. I hear Freddy Krueger, my mind just jumps to Friday the 13th. I'm sorry guys, I'm not a horror guy. This is not my fault.
In a movie.
Yeah, I watched the Nostalgia Critic.
Don't ever admit that ever again.
Actually, I'm sorry. It was the James Rolfe Cinemassacre Monster Madness review of that movie. My mistake. I don't. Nostalgia Critic did not review Freddy vs. Jason, Dawn of Justice.
Age of Ultron. Freddy vs. Jason, Age of Ultron.
Okay, no, Nightmare on Elm
NES
Street.
OST.
That's
and it's probably the first track, if we're being honest. Oh, Sam, I know exactly what this is.
Yeah.
It's like that particular genre of penis music where where it's like the same notes. A similar brand of penis music was
That, of course, is a Tonal Rhino theme from the iconic Mega Man X3.
Which, by the way, Sam and I had a rare conversation last night that we never have, which is we were talking about Mega Man in depth, because my opinion on Mega Man is on record, where like Mega Man's not my favorite thing to play, but like I think those games are like brilliantly designed, and I just respect the hell out of them. So I do have like a fondness for Mega Man. It's just one of those games where like gameplay wise, just doesn't hit with me the same way that like the way that Mario moves does, right? So, yeah. But like we just got like really in depth about like Mega Man weapons for a while.
yeah, the special weapons from all the games.
I turned you on to the Pharaoh shot, which you like kind of wrote off.
Yeah. I mean, I used it I'd use it during the final boss, and the hitbox on top is so useful when Wily's above you because the final boss of MM4 is in the dark.
I didn't explain another really useful thing about Pharaoh shot, which is that if you slide, you slowly displace the shot further and further behind you. So you can actually use that as a strategy to attack an enemy behind you.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that's swag.
Some cool.
Mega Man 4, I think it is pretty underrated as far as the Mega Mans go. I think there's like a lot of like genuine.
Oh yeah, no, I happen to.
That
I think
gets
4 is
overlooked.
Like a top 3 entry, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I think my 3 favorite entries. I think both 9 and 10 are up there for me.
Yeah, you're right.
Dude, Inti Create's just fucking got it, which is why, like, when they made fucking Mighty Number 9, it was like, what the fuck happened?
I need to play that new one that's basically, Portrait of
11?
Ruin. No, they made an original game that's basically Portrait of a Ruin, Do Not Steal, similar to Curse of the Moon.
Gal Guardians?
Yeah. Similar to Curse of the Moon, where that's Castlevania 83, Do Not Steal. OC.
Oh, yeah, it's the new game. It just came out like a month or two
has like
ago,
a
right?
fucking Uzi. And the pixel art's gorgeous.
Yeah, you collect panties in that game. That's the only thing I know about that. It's like it's one of the secret items. Based. Yeah.
Hey,
there's like an achievement
for getting all in Cave Story, and that's like a beloved masterpiece. So the same game.
Does Cave Story still get the love in 2023? I feel like Cave Story's time is well,
but you know why it doesn't
beyond
get the
Cave
love?
Story's
It's
time.
because it got fucked over by the publisher who bought it. Like I think it could still very much.
Nicholas,
it could
right?
still very much get the love. It would be sort of an Undertale Deltarune like thing that kind of people treasure if the game was still relevant. But the re-release of it just don't happen.
Because they remember when they used to re-release it all the time, and it was like a meme how like there are like 8 different versions.
Yeah, and now there's none. And the reason that it was like that was because the publisher got greedy.
Yeah, because of course, don't fucking sell indie developers. Don't sell your games.
Pixel Taishoku, sell your games to me. I'm better than Critical Bliss. Sell your games to me.
Yeah, did you ever play Carol Blaster? That game was pretty good.
I did not play Carol Blaster.
It's it's Mega Man-esque in like kind of gameplay, so I like fucked with it. I never really fucked with the Cave Story. I played it, booted up, started it a bunch of times, but I just don't like 2D map exploration games. like, I just don't like the fucking setup of go explore, fuck off for hours, and maybe you'll find what you gotta
era,
do.
like La Mulana, like that era of kind of like indie Metroid style games.
But like the Metroidvania like indie era, I don't really fuck with.
Which is it sucks because when I played Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night, I was like 15 back to back. I thought they were like the most amazing discoveries ever. Like, oh, these like cool 2D games with like action components, but exploration, like some of my favorite games. I can't wait to play more of these. And I played a ton of indie ones, and I was like, oh wow, these are the only two good ones. Like as far as franchises go, like these are the only ones that get them right for me.
I know. Shout out our friend of the show, Tom from Turnstile, loves Aria of Sorrow on GBA.
Yeah, Aria of Sorrow is that one is. If you're not a Symphony of the Night guy, you're an Aria of Sorrow guy, and it's a very similar case to like Mario. You know, like if you're not a Mario 3 guy, you're a Mario World guy.
Yeah. I'm a Rondo of Blood guy. That's my. I'm a classic Vania fan
some people
only.
Are
basically,
Rondo of Blood only guys, and it's either Rondo of Blood or Castlevania 3. That's kind of how that goes.
Yeah. Oh, for the record, yeah. My favorite Castlevania games are Rondo of Blood and Castlevania 1. Castlevania 2 is neat. I don't really love it though.
I like it as a curiosity, and I kind of like longer NES games. There's something really like engrossing to me about.
I agree with this.
Longer
by the
NES
way,
games.
they are.
Like Zelda 2. Like I just get so like entranced by like finishing Zelda 2 in one go.
It's so funny, dude. This is, by the way, I'm about to spit like one of the hottest takes of all time, like 2 hours into this fucking show, dude. But I like prefer like Metroid 1 like way more.
That is hot. That is a very hot take.
I like because I'm with you. Like I just love sitting down, booting up fucking NES Metroid,
and you're gonna be there for 2.5 hours.
And I'm gonna be there for 2.5 hours. And I got a nice little Nintendo Power Map on my right hand monitor, and just like let's knock it out, baby.
That's me. Whenever I sit down with Zelda 2,
I just play.
I'm always just like, damn, it's good to be back.
Oh yeah, dude, Zelda 2's fucking awesome.
One of my 5x5 picks. It is funny because like I was talking about like I'm in a Discord server where a fan of our show Julian is also in, which is just it's a lovely place. I actually one of the few Discord servers I like that isn't full of fucking degenerates who fucking suck on their mom's tits at 19 and shit in coffee cans, like who aren't like born failures. People who like you just look at them, they're not characters from Train Spotting where they're just like totally dysfunctional. But they have a rule on their 5x5s where they encourage you to pick one game from a franchise only. Like my 5x5 is like there's like 3 Kojima games, there's 3 Zelda games, Zelda 2, Breath of the Wild, and Ocarina of Time. And so it is kind of fun to have that limitation of like, all right, I can only have one Zelda game. All right, it's Ocarina of Time. All right, you can only have one, Final Fantasy game. Okay, 7. But like it is funny that like of the 3 Zelda games I like, it's like Ocarina of Time, the greatest video game ever made according to Metacritic. Breath of the Wild, like the new fan favorite, the new greatest Zelda game. Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, 3rd place. And it's like, oh, you're not gonna pick Link's Awakening. You're not gonna pick, Wind Waker. It's like, nope, Zelda 2. That's the one. And it's it's so funny because like the top 2 are like such normie picks. It's like you would just never. It's like one of those jokes where someone says 2 very normal statements and then they say some third thing that's like, whoa, hang on. Like that's me. Like if I'm doing like my top 3 Zelda games. Yeah,
I like my name's Sam Kingma and I like dogs, McDonald's, and pushing old women down the escalator.
That same thing. Like Zelda 2 is pushing an old woman down the escalator in video game form, where people are just like, what? Why would you say that? And it's like, so fucking good ass game, man. You ever played it? Well, no, but I heard it sucks. You listen here, you little fuck. I'll find you if you don't play this fucking game.
It's oh my god, yeah, Zelda's fucking awesome. Also, by the way, I want to just shout out a couple other NES games I fucking love, like to death, that I've played like over and over again. Dude, I think I've played Contra 1 like 40 times.
That's a good 40. Have you ever done a 3 life, like no Konami code clear?
So I've I've beaten the game without using a continue and under I had the Konami code on, but I technically beat it without using a continue, and I only lost I think I only lost a total of 4 lives, and the way the game would have worked out, I would have had 6 or 8. I would have had 6 or 8. I took a death in stage 5. A death in stage 7, and I think I choked a little bit and died twice.
You really should just sometimes sit down and because again, it's similar to what we were talking about with Ocarina of Time and the 3-heart run. That's a thing that you can say you did. It's cool that you did it with, in the case of the PC port, it's cool that you got all this stuff, but you did it with the damage multipliers. But you didn't do the 3-heart run
because you know what. Yeah, exactly. You didn't do it. Well, I didn't do it technically without the Konami code. The Konami code was on, but if we were the way the math checked out, I technically did it. But I didn't have the mental thought that was going to happen.
And you didn't go into it with that do or die. This is it, dude. I have to.
Because I realized it wasn't until I reached stage 4 when I'm like, oh, fuck, I still have the spread. I still have spread.
You know what it is?
1.
You know what it is, Sam? I was just thinking about this. The reason that the 3-heart run is more respectable than, just using the damage multiplier, even though it sucks because I like the collectibles in that game, is because you can turn it off.
It's true to the original experience.
And you can't prove you didn't turn it off. And that's a very similar thing with this
true.
Konami code thing. It's I entered it, but you can't, as an outsider, you already put the Konami code in. That there's doubt in my mind that you didn't you didn't actually do it in that many.
Yeah, what, Myles, before we wrap up the show, because we've gone long this week, and we just might start going longer on the shows now in season 2, who fucking
It's
knows?
good for you, too.
But,
it's good for ad revenue.
I wanted to ask you this, oh yeah, totally. We got to get 1,000 subs first. Hey, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel down there. Like the video too, so this gets seen by more people. What is the one self-proposed in sort of game challenge run that you've done that you've completed that you're particularly proud of? Because for me, it's Dark Souls 3 Soul Level 1.
The Evil Within Akumu difficulty.
Oh, okay. What's Akumu difficulty in?
On that game,
shit.
By the way. On that game, the least consistent video game of all time. I died 649 times while using speedrun strategies. And by the way, when you die in that game, the longest load times to come back. It hurts.
Oh, dude. I mean, that was that PS4, Xbox One era
PS4,
of just
Xbox One.
Just that horrible hard drive speed. Oh my god, dude. Let me just say, man. After playing games on PS5 and then doing nothing but downloading games on my SSD on my computer,
it's different.
Bro,
it's so
load
different.
times. That shit is hard to go back to. We're talking about shit that aged poorly. Fucking long loading times.
That's what's so funny about you play you go back to Bloodborne. Someone did the math on the average Death Stranding startup time, and it's PS4 55 seconds, PS5 4 seconds, and it's
dude, launch Bloodborne. If you died, you had to wait a minute. And also, you want to hear the best part too, Myles? Because I don't think you played Bloodborne.
I played it
at
a couple
launch,
months
right?
after launch, so no.
Oh, okay. At launch, so you know how when you die or load in Dark Souls or Demon Souls, it has a little lore piece about what.
Yeah, no, that one didn't have the items, did it?
It just said Bloodborne,
which is insane. It's insane that because it's that's part of the story. It's insane that they just didn't do that.
So imagine being me, what was it?
2015, March of 2015.
Yeah, so I was 17, and it was just and I was sick from school the day it came out, and I remember I was like, Mom, can you go to Target and pick up this pre-order for me? And I got Bloodborne in the afternoon. I'm like, shit, yeah, I'm gonna play the hell out of this. And I was so bad, dude. I was so bad. And every time you die, you just have to sit there for a minute in stone cold silence.
I think the thing is, I guess the Okumu difficulty is not really a self-imposed challenge. That's an enforced challenge on the game. I have completed Breath of the Wild without a single character upgrade. That's a pretty cool one. No stamina upgrades, no hearts, and no armor upgrades. which is not terribly hard, but like that game is so long.
I mean, it's just one hit at that point, right?
And like you kind of rely on like tough cooking at a certain point to like smooth that out, or like temporary hearts. So like that's really fun that like cooking matters a lot.
That's cool. Yeah, that like it. See, 3-heart run in Breath of the Wild, or doing the no upgrades run in Breath of the Wild, is a lot more interesting because of those cooking mechanics that you can kind of.
And you know what's really cool about it? You can do a 3-heart run and not miss any content because you can do as many shrines as you need to get to the Trial of the Sword.
You have to turn them
into spirit orbs and then sell them to the demon statue and then just never collect them again. And that's your 13 hearts to get the Master Sword. And then you just do the Trial of the Sword with 3 hearts.
Or better yet, you just say, fuck the Master Sword. Nobody needed that.
Well, but then you don't
get
to do the Trial of the Sword. And that's some like real content that you want to complete with 3 hearts. Like that's a fun challenge. Cause that's straight do or die.
How do you do, wait, can you, so how do you get how do you get the Master Sword without going over the getting 13 hearts? Because I thought the temporary hearts didn't count.
Basically you either do your divine beasts or you do your shrines, whatever you prefer, and then I talk like gay. I keep noticing this. I talk like a Queer Eye character. Queer Eye host. Yeah, I like that show.
Good show, dude. Shout out my homies who were like, "Sam, you got to get out of this shit."
Dude.
Back in
that
college,
shit is good.
Dude, I would have been an awesome.
I would have been an awesome contestant, like a Queer Eye do-over.
Okay, I would have been a contestant. Is that the right word for this show?
Specimen.
Subject. I would have been the best Queer Eye specimen ever during that show.
Oh yeah, you perfect,
dude. Who was the guy who did the clothes? He was my favorite.
Jonathan Van Ness
of the queers.
Of the eyes.
No.
Your favorite of the eyes.
Yeah, of the queer.
No, not even of the queer eyes. Of the eyes. I don't remember. I thought Jonathan Van Ness did the clothes because he's like a fashion designer, right? I guess they're non-binary. I don't know. I don't keep up.
I thought Jonathan did hair.
Oh, they did. They did. Because
he had the long like Charlie Boy's Critical style haircut.
They did do hair. Yeah, I don't remember, but you do your shrines or your divine beasts, and then you go to the demon statue in Hateno. And, well, first of all, you cash them into heart containers. You get your 10 hearts. You pull out the Master Sword. You go to Hateno. And then you sell all your spirit orbs to the demon statue.
Oh, and then you just get them back?
No, you just sell them, and he just holds on to them.
Sell them?
And, forever if you want. You never have to come back and claim them.
Oh, okay.
Which is, like, so awesome. And the other thing is...
So you can get them back. So hold on. Well, wait a minute. What is the purpose of this being in the game aside from this weird
he holds
use
them
case?
For you, and then you come back and he says, "All right, well, I can give it back to you, or I can give it back to you as a stamina vessel, and vice versa." So that's how you respect the character.
So you can. Oh, I just thought you couldn't respect.
No,
so
and that's the thing.
Like,
if you want an early Master Sword, you can upgrade your stamina wheel. Go to that, get your 13 hearts, go back. And then get your stamina wheel back and keep your 3 hearts. And it's like, dude,
that's so
it opens up.
Cool.
This game rules. It opens up so much with that. And I wonder if a similar system is going to be in Tears of the Kingdom. I've done a lot of Tears of the Kingdom trailer analysis. Too long for that episode, or for this episode. Sorry to whoever wanted me to talk about it. I'll get you next week.
Well, we'll talk about Tears of the Kingdom when it's actually out, because I really don't feel like I got a lot to say.
The thing is, I have a lot to say about the trailers, but that's going to be the most dated content ever. So let's just and by the way, when the game comes out and our first opinions are out, that's also going to be dated. Because a fucking year later, we're going to feel some type of way about it. I don't know which way. It would be really funny if, I hated the game.
Oh, dude, I feel like you're not. I feel like there's an equal chance. I think it's like 7. No, hold on. Let me think. Give me a second to give some accurate numbers here. I think there's a sizable percentage chance you don't like it, but it's like
you're thinking 20%, which is like
I'm thinking like 20. Yeah, like 20. closer to probably 20% than 30%.
It's
that
not
you
bad,
don't like
but
it.
that's not what you want to hear, right? You know, that's not what you want to think about.
I think, okay, how about this? I think 20%, how about this? I think 5% chance you fucking loathe this shit. I think 65% chance it's like a Splatoon 2, it just ain't the same, bro, type deal. Where it's just like, we ain't in 2017 anymore. This ain't working for me anymore.
I think the big thing for me is that I replay Breath of the Wild and it still works for me. So, like, I think as long as it plays exactly the same, like, mechanically plays exactly the same, and kind of has a similar, like, pace of, like, I'm just off on my own and I can do whatever I want. Oh, yeah, totally. Like, I think it will work. Yeah. The way that they could screw it up is just, I think at this point, just, like, if the new systems just suck. Like, if just the new interactions of the game, vehicle building, the weapon, what I think is weapon construction, I have a theory that you can build your own weapons out of parts from other weapons. So, like, if you get, like, a spear, like that big cannon thing he launches at a Talus, like, that looks like the shaft of a spear stuck to the dragon head that he's put on his shield in the 2021 trailer with some new, like, blasting item, right? Which a lot of people think is a drop from a BMOS enemy. So you kill the BMOS and you get this cannon, but it's useless on its own, and you have to attach it to another thing, and that's kind of like their new like weapon. Like, so weapons still break, but weapons can also kind of be used to make bigger, better weapons. We've already seen you can attach a flamethrower to a shield, which is like, that's kind of an awesome system.
Let me ask,
but if it sucks, then there you go.
Yeah, and also I could see and also they showed off like vehicles and shit. I can see the vehicles being a little like not working for people. Like I could see it not being very graceful for people.
I'll have to see. The thing is, I generally don't like vehicles to begin with, like as a person. But some games have made me a vehicles believer, a vehicles enjoyer. Like
average vehicle enjoyer,
average walking on foot fan. Average vehicle enjoyer. That's my Sigma. That's my Sigma. My Sigma man.
Play Daytona,
I like Daytona.
Miles, and then you'll understand the beauty of vehicles.
I think the thing is, I just don't like vehicles in like open world games that much. Like,
I don't like vehicles in open world games that aren't fun to drive.
Yeah, exactly.
How about
like,
that?
But like for me, like I get on my fucking bike in Death Stranding, and I am ride with Norman Reedus. Sometimes you hop on the bike and you just feel the engine go. Like the bikes in those games, the vehicles in those games are objectively not good. Like, they make the game both too easy and also too hard on occasion. But man, does it feel good to go fast. And
I love building the road, dude. I like building the road and then driving on the road,
baby.
It's sick, bro. And then you don't lose any battery on the road. I'm like, this is awesome. This is just the best.
And you drive, and it's like that. That's the close. Ironically enough, when you're on a vehicle, that's the easiest that the game gets. It's harder to control it's easier to control a vehicle than it is to control a human being in that game, which is awesome. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If I don't like vehicles, I probably just won't use them.
But here's my thing, though. How do you get to the sky?
It seems
how do you get around in the sky?
It seems like there seems to be like a giant metallic bird you can ride on at some point. They showed that off in the September trailer. Another one, thing is you can clearly like build like sky vehicles, like the hot air balloon and the gyrocopter, I guess. Yeah. So the main thing I noticed is that you kind of attach all these things with like a green adhesive, and there's a green adhesive around a Hinox's neck, and there's also a green adhesive on like the armpit of like the golem. So I think that's just going to be like a resource that you can get.
And Link also has a few green adhesive and vials on his like belt. That measures
them for you. Like, so you probably have a limited amount of green adhesive, which probably encourages you to build your vehicles, and that might even be what you do.
Get creative.
That might even be what you do with weapons. Like it seems like weapons have insertion slots. But then there might also be weapons that you can attach with an adhesive, like so I don't know. Yeah. Some very interesting stuff.
I just, all I hope is that I don't see fucking gear score.
Yeah. Shout outs to gear score. I guess that was the thing I was going to talk about with
No, not shout outs to Gears score. Shoot it. Shoot
outs
the
to
Gears score.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to talk about with like earlier when I was talking about Resident Evil 4 Remake. There are certain games where like people just want them to go down so much that like they'll take on like the stupidest stance to like have that take. And like the one that I saw for Hogwarts Legacy, like because Hogwarts Legacy is like you can make fun of a lot of things, the gear stance, the fact that
here's the thing, Hogwarts Legacy is like, in my opinion, like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 video game. If you actually genuinely give a fuck about Harry Potter, it's like a 9 out of 10, and I totally understand why you feel that way.
Xeno Saga. Fuck! Xenoverse. Dragon Ball Xenoverse. That's the one. Too many Xenos.
Yeah, dude, totally. Totally.
But yeah, like people were, like, Mulgar pointed this out to me, and I've been laughing about it ever since, where he was talking about how, like, there was someone on Twitter who was complaining that, like, the game has a dodge roll, and he's like, that's the most creatively bankrupt thing I've ever heard. And it's like, that's your problem with the game. That it has an evasive roll. It's like, at some point, people on Twitter just have to accept that they're not very clever, and, like, the problems that, like, the reasons that they don't like games, that they complain about games, are, like, stupid and not very insightful, and, like,
yeah, no one ever fucking, and this is Twitter's fault because there's fucking hyper limited characters until they got rid of that, and then it was impossible to fucking read because the fucking site was not built to read fucking 4,000 characters worth of text. But that's neither fucking here nor there. I'm off that fucking shit.
I'm off the whole platform.
I'm off those opioids. I'm off those opioids. I don't need that shit no more. And it's just the it's just, God, we've been going for so long. What the
We're
fuck
talking
is it?
about stupid opinions on Twitter. People having the dumbest possible take.
Yeah. Like, people don't explain the why. People just say shit. Like, people just say, oh, this game sucks because there's a dodge roll in it. And it's like, but why? Like, could you like, the
implication they were making
it?
is that's not creative enough. But what I was going to bring up with Resident Evil is I was pointing out, like, a friend of mine pointed this out, in the books, when they want to protect themselves, they cast a spell first. Whoever's the fastest wand wins the fight, right? So they cast a disarming spell first.
Yeah.
And, like, you know what fucking game has a defensive maneuver where you interrupt attacks with a shot? Resident Evil 4. And, like, of course, gamers are too fucking stupid to understand, oh, where's my defensive options? Your defensive option is to shoot first. It's a legitimate tactic. It's to shoot first, or it's to use the map. But they're like, I don't know what to do. Where's my defensive options? So they added a fucking parry into this stupid fucking game. They added a fucking parry, because you understand parries, because you played Dark Souls, because you played every other video game under the fucking sun, because you haven't played a real video game in 10 fucking years. You don't remember what it's like to have a distinct mechanic that requires you to do something different than every other fucking skill that you do in every other fucking game. You don't have any idea how to approach anything that's both intuitive, but isn't just a fucking free-to-play, brain-dead ass fucking idea that you've figured out because you've mastered the skill in another game that isn't this one.
This is my problem, dude, is when people are like, I've played games like this, and this doesn't work like this one. This is a big issue I see on a lot of online, like, games journalism or game podcasts, because when they talk about JRPGs, and they constantly just compare shit to Persona 5 all the fucking time. And it's like, you understand that, like, can you guys understand that, like, Persona 5 did not do everything perfectly in a JRPG? You know, we can still acknowledge that it's an excellent, great game, and there's a lot of elements to really like and enjoy and love about it, and it still might be your favorite fucking JRPG at the end of the day. But, like, can we stop saying, like, oh, SMT sucks because it's not like Persona 5? Like,
I love that about the SMT 5 IGN review, because if there was not a single mention of Persona 5, it would just be the fandom's opinion of the game. Because the complaints are the performance is not good, and the story's not good. And like, and that's what everyone says, other than the mention that the music is forgettable, which no one thinks. That would just be like, oh, That's my opinion too. Like, for 80% of Megaten fans, like, that's my opinion too. This gameplay is great. Story ain't it. Like, but he has to constantly be like, it's just not as good as Persona 5. And it's like, that's the fucking problem. People just can't have a problem with a game. They have to have a problem with a game not being like another game. Like, let's say you're a fucking moron and Elden Ring just came out and you like Breath of the Wild more. And you think to yourself, why isn't this game more systemic? And you wonder, why isn't that the case? Until you realize that your problem with the game is just that it doesn't work for you in an open world. But for some reason, you just cannot accept that this vision is a perfectly acceptable way to do an open world, and that it actually has a lot of merits of its own, even though it's just not your thing and you just don't really enjoy that game. I'm speaking in theory, of course.
that would ever happen.
That might
in
happen
reality.
to someone, and that might happen to someone on record, and they have to live with it. I'm just, again, it's that and Earthbound, man. I'm just forever like.
See, I gotta be honest. Earthbound, fucking.
Well, it's a problem to me because Wind Waker beat it,
bro.
And I don't think.
I mean, Wind Waker. I don't really care for Wind Waker either. But like, I beat Wind Waker. I didn't beat
fair.
Earthbound. You know,
I think it's a case of Tom played Earthbound later, and he would absolutely probably say Wind Waker is not as good as Earthbound. He wasn't there for that, man.
I mean,
he was
that's
not
fine.
there for that at the time.
I mean,
that would have survived. Well, the problem is that
fine.
it was just me being stupid that led to that being like, because no one else had a say. No one else could have done anything about it. It was just because I had forgotten how much I think that game is like at least more interesting than Wind Waker. By the way, still wouldn't have made it past the second round. Still would have lost to like ARMS or whatever, but.
Wind Waker did lose to like some really funny shit though in the second round, like pretty quick too. I remember, but I don't remember what it was.
And Majora's Mask were up against each other, and I was like, you know what? As much, or no, it was Majora's Mask and Animal Crossing, and I was like, you know what? I can't do that to Majora's Mask. As much as we dunk on that game, I like can't do it out of spite because fuck Animal Crossing.
What Animal Crossing do we have on the list?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put that one on the list. I would have put like DS or some Wild
World.
World.
Metacritic score.
How we did it was, we individually selected this. I handpicked the 64 games for the list, but I seeded it with Metacritic score. That's how I seeded the shit. I'm just shocked I put New Horizons on and not like Animal Crossing GameCube or Animal Crossing Wild World. Because I played those ones.
I don't know. I think it was just because that was it went by Metacritic score. Like, so I think it was just because it was rated either highly or low, like low enough to be part of the seeding. You specifically picked Splatoon 1 over 2 I did not use Metacritic at all to determine what 64 games were a part of the bracket, which is it's the seeding was specifically how the games order were through Metacritic. And you see why I do that, people? You guys see why I do that shit? Because it's that time of month, March Madness is here and all that shit. It's already up to bullshit. Sam, what's your Metallic Madness picks for this month? Are you surprised I know what that is?
Yeah, a little bit, a smidge.
I have a friend with autism. That's all I'll say. No, you have no
autism. Sonic fan with autism.
You're a Sonic fan. You're the rare neurotypical Sonic fan. You're the based and red-pilled neurotypical Sonic fan. I would say that you are the rare Pepe, and they are the small crying Peepo. To quote the presidents of the United States, Trump versus Epstein in a debate about. Trump versus Epstein. It is really funny. Like I not to get too off topic, but I did see like a meme that was like, so it was Obama, Epstein, and Trump, and like I clicked on the video, right, and of course I see Super Mario 64 in C, and I was like, I know who made this. I know the age of the person who made this. It's like Mario Odyssey is in like S, Mario 3 and Mario World are both in S, and like Mario 64 is in C. Like, and it's just like, And like DS is rated higher than it.
That, you know what? You know who those people are who you know those 17-year-old kids and below who are like, yeah, Mario 64 C tier. They just like, again, that's the type of people where it's like, it doesn't play like Mario Odyssey, so it's clearly a C. Clearly it's aged, it has aged controls and the camera sucks. Even though the fixed positions of the fucking Lakitu camera were perfectly fine.
That's the thing.
For 99% of the game.
I'm always kind of surprised at how people like don't realize that Mario 64 is just an acrobatics game. The whole reason to play it is to just master this character who just controls like a maniac. But when you...
They're called courses.
Yeah, and when you master that character, it's the best feeling ever because he just fucking flies and it's awesome. Like getting like a fucking triple jump into a dive, landing where you want to, like long jumping into a wall jump. Like that game is the best feeling fucking video game. And people like just don't understand that the point of the game is to control the character. And like their problem is like, yeah, well, some of the courses just aren't as well designed. It's like, it's not about the fucking levels. It's about how you, it's about the
yeah, do you want to play a game about the fucking levels? Play Banjo-Kazooie, which is a great game and great in its own right, but it's totally different. Yeah, it's like the antithesis almost to Mario 64, where Mario 64 is really all about the control of the character of Mario, and as you said, being fun to fucking platform and run around.
Are
infamously
fine.
In the
It's just that they're not the draw. Like whereas like Banjo-Kazooie, the worlds are the reason to, like the gameplay of Banjo-Kazooie are the worlds, whereas the gameplay of Mario 64 is Mario. Like, Mario could be in any room. It doesn't matter.
Dude, in that statement right there, Myles, is why fucking Mario Maker is the most successful level editor of all time,
it's like,
basically.
Oh, it's fun to be Mario.
Yeah, just period. Mario's just fun to control, regardless if it's classic SMB, SMB3, SM World, New Super Mario Bros. He's just fun. He's just fun to fucking play and jump and move around and run with. And that's what makes fucking Mario good. And still
but
good
you
and
just
still
have these
hold up
people
today,
who like don't
you know?
understand, like I don't know, it's so interesting to me, like what people don't understand about games. And it does kind of come back to what we were talking about with like the art people versus the people who like are fine acknowledging they're playing a game. And I definitely think that I'm like, I don't know, for me like the art is the game. And like I love a good art direction. Like the thing about like an immersive open world game, like, you know, people are always like, "Oh, I wish you could listen to music in Death Stranding." It's like, no, you don't. You think you do, and you believe that you would like that, but like, and maybe some people genuinely would. But you know what you'd be missing? You'd be missing the fucking feeling of being just alone, you and Norman Reedus on a flat fucking plane with a couple of pebbles and 500 kilograms of sperm and eggs on his back.
Cargo.
And he's got to carry that shit from Lake Knot City to distribution center south of Lake Knot City. And by the way, there's mules on the way. And when you hear that fucking music and you got to fucking fight, you earn that fucking sound. Like, I have been playing Breath of the Wild recently again, and, like, I was just, like, there is a mod called Silence of the Wild for, like, recording videos, right? If you want to, you know, do, like, let's say a combat montage, right?
So like, no music,
no piano music.
Piano,
Sam,
like, stings, okay.
Anyone who says that game doesn't have music needs to play Silence of the Wild. They don't understand how much is gone without those little stings.
Yeah, that is the soundtrack, is the fucking stings. I'm sorry it's not like, cause here's the deal. I was like I caught a podcast like discussion the other day, like a few weeks ago, and one of the hosts on it was talking about like game music and how like game music today is much more like atmospheric and it's not like, it's not as like in your face as it was in the NES and Super Nintendo.
You just don't have as many. I mean, so it's a couple of different things.
There's less moving parts in those games, so it's the music.
And it's not just that, but like you also had a lot more like
like
your sound systems were not as advanced, so the melodies had to be simpler. And like you couldn't do like a really like strong atmospheric track without it sounding like nonsense in a lot of cases. Like once you got to like the Super Nintendo, you could get away with it a little more. But it kind of took until, you know, you had like all, you know, once you had 8 channels, you could do whatever you wanted. But even then, like a lot of 8-channel games, like you would have, you know, I know that famously Secret of Mana was one of the SNES games where the sound effects actually did clip the music, like because it was using all 8 channels for the music, so one of them had to cut out for the sounds. What a legendary boss track.
Dude, that game, I can't believe that game has A Bell is Tolling, which is like one of the greatest Super Nintendo tracks ever, and then it also has... Dude,
you want to talk about penis music? That game has some penis music. That game has some penis music. One of the best penis music tracks is... And that's the whole song. There is a bridge, but it doesn't matter. It's too little too late when you hear it. That's the song. That's the song.
Oh man, I love shit.
You know what's funny? Like in like
like
episode 5, I was like, "Hey, since we're editing this, we can put the music in, right?" And you were like, "No, it's better if we have to sound it out for each other." And that's not changing.
No, absolutely not. I was thinking about putting the fucking Nightmare on Elm Street music in earlier.
Funnier. It's just funnier to make people hear us interpret the music. Because... Christ, dude.
I mean, what's funny, actually hearing the boss theme from Secret of Mana or us going...
It's the same thing of like... It's funny if you know Code Lyoko to hear bam 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 bam, but it's funnier if you know Crackhouse to know the song through only our doing it.
But also, by the way, Myles, do you know that in the Justin Roiland classic High on Life, there is a whole section that mentions and talks about Code Lyoko, like straight up in the game? Dude, so the scene, to set the context, the scene takes place on what can only be described as the gaming cargo elevator. So, for example, in Resident Evil 2 Remake, the final boss against Mr. X takes place on the gaming cargo elevator.
That's endlessly ascending until the fight ends.
It's the endlessly ascending or descending big rectangular elevator where you fight beat 'em up enemies on. Streets of Rage 4 also iconically features this in the 11th stage. Mad World has this, and it basically sits on that, and the fucking in the Morty gun or whatever is talking about the elevator, and it's like, this is just like Code Lyoko. Yeah, remember that show? I'm like, oh my god, I actually
remember it. We watched it in the last 3 solar cycles. Dude, quarantine was so fucked up that we watched Code Lyoko. We could have done so much else.
Dude, I watched 4 episodes, and you watched 80.
Most of the show.
I will say about Quarantine was the only time I genuinely watched a lot of anime. I watched all of Haikyuu.
I actually can't. And you didn't mention this, I don't think.
Because you know why? I thought it was fine.
Because you watched Kuroko Basket. And that was the real shit.
Because Kuroko Basket just is leagues better than what's going on in Haikyuu. Haikyuu is it's fun. It's good.
Stuff.
It's good storytelling. It's high school sport. It's high school sports. Very grounded take on volleyball. And Kuroko Basket is fucking Dragon Ball Z basketball.
The man has the Emperor's eye.
Dude. By the way, my brother showed me clips. My brother, by the way, younger brother, he's like a collegiate basketball manager. He's trying to be like a coach and stuff. So he knows his fucking NBA and basketball shit. He was showing me plays from this player character called Luka Doncic, who's like a pretty S tier class
the fact
NBA
that you don't
player
know how
right
to
now.
Describe these people outside of video game terms is very funny.
And there is a play where he uses Emperor's Eye straight up, dude. Like my brother and I are watching these, but it's in a 100 highlight reel. And Myles, I will find it for you after the show. I maybe I'll be able to insert it if I remember, but I probably won't. This show's way too long. This show's gone way too long.
We got 3 episodes out of this.
Dude, he literally he doesn't like do this with the ball. He doesn't do like one of these, you know. He doesn't go between the legs. He just fucking sends the defensive player to the floor. He just like did one of these with his head and he just fell to the floor. I'm like, Trevor, that was Emperor's Eye. We just saw
Did he walk
Emperor's
past
Eye,
him and
dude.
say, you can never defeat an emperor?
This is where you will fall to your knees. God, I gotta rewatch.
You watched it 3 years ago.
I want
to
to read
need
it.
to
Actually,
rewatch it. I'm sure it's the same.
But I want the experience again. See, dude, Myles, fuck that shit, dude. We gotta normalize rewatching good shit.
Oh no, I have no problem rewatching good shit I've already seen. I have no problem replaying good shit I've already played. It's just like when you're like, dude, I need to rewatch Kuroko no Basket. I'm like, no, you don't. You just want to, and that's fine.
I need the hype
that's fair.
in my life again.
If you need that hype,
I need different. Because, dude, every time they win a game in the Kuroko no Basket, I am like this at my TV. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god, they did it. They fucking did it. They managed to beat the fucking guy who makes every shot. Like, he just doesn't miss. And in the whole series, they never make him miss once. There's close calls, but it always goes in. So good. So fucking good. So fucking good.
I wish I had a power like that.
Anyways, if you want to be a true crackhead, make sure to go to our Discord. We swear it's not as degenerate as the Discords Myles was talking about.
Our Discord
like
is lovely, actually.
No, did you say no? It's
our
terrible.
Discord's lovely.
No, our Discord's lovely. Yeah, become another lovely member of our Discord. Link in the description. Make sure to, again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a review on iTunes, by the way. If you guys can do 5-star reviews on iTunes, that shit is actually huge for podcasts because it'll get us in the recommended on Apple and shit.
And we know you're going to rate it 5 stars.
How audio platforms, yeah, I mean, what else is to say? I mean, what other podcast you're going to listen to with this diverse lineup of topics?
We talked about single episode about video games. Talked about NBA basketball, both clips and real life players using anime powers. Talked about penis music. What else did we fucking talk about? It's been such a long episode. We talked about Breaking Bad. What do you want us to talk about? What do you want us to talk about? We talked about it in this episode.
All right. We'll see you next week.